Listen to the words of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of Colorado. We'll welcome them today. Washington State. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, and happy 2014 to those of you that are listening. Along in studio with me is, well, she loves 2014 already. She's a big fan.
Yeah, it's been great.
She's enjoyed 2014 so far. She's Hernando County and Orange County's favorite and most loved libertarian, who obviously is still getting under the craw of many people. Danielle Alexandre, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Merry New Year to you as well.
Merry New Year.
Merry New Year to you as well.
That's funny. Nobody understands that joke. But
What, Merry New Year?
yeah.
We'll tell that story. Not, I mean,
No, we won't.
Not today.
No.
I'll do it on a Wednesday. I'll do it on a Wednesday show. You got to tune in on Wednesday to hear that one.
To hear that one.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not doing that on a Friday morning. But we have someone else in the studio. Why don't you introduce him as well?
Yes, also in studio, working feverishly on the other side.
Because he was late again.
It was late.
Thank you, US 19.
He is known as Knobs or Schnugens or
Libertarian Greg.
Libertarian Greg
Or Tiger.
or Tiger
Or consistently late.
or Tardy. His name,
I don't feel tardy.
I don't feel tardy. His name is Greg Bowen. Greg, good morning, sir. Happy New Year to you.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
How is your New Year so far, sir?
Good so far.
So far?
So far, it's getting better.
Well, it's only the 3rd. You know,
there's plenty of time for it to all go down.
there's plenty of time for it to just be destroyed. You doing well?
I am. Yes. Thank
All
you.
right, good. Glad to hear it. Glad you're doing good, huh? If you would like to call the it's up at the top corner now.
We changed everything
I know,
around.
I
We
know, I
cleaned
know,
the
I
studio
know.
over the new year.
It is clean.
And we revamped the website. We were very busy over our break.
Yeah.
Yes, we were. Yes, we were. And if you want to call the studio lines, the Refresh Telecom line is 1-800-525-4032. That's 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom. They won't give your information to the feds.
And that's all you need to know.
Yeah. Like that's like the only selling point you need to have.
Right.
Like,
That's
it
it.
works, and they won't give your information to the feds.
And if you want to see how well it works, call.
Yes, yes. If you want to check the operability of the system, again, the number is 1-800-525-4032. Well, I'm glad everybody's having a good time. We'll go ahead and get started with the news right off the bat.
Well, Colorado's having
Let's
a good
go
time.
Dateline, Colorado. Could you explain to us what's going on in the state of Colorado?
Well, in November, and this is pretty much everybody knows, in November, Colorado and Washington State legalized recreational use of marijuana.
Really?
They did. And
Really? I did not know this. Why would they do something like this? Is there pandemonium in the streets?
well, here's the thing.
Or is there long lines of people looking for weed and then another long line of people looking for Twinkies?
I don't know about the Twinkie line.
All right.
That was not reported, but the law didn't take an effect right away. It actually took an effect on January 1st.
Yeah.
So on January 1st, there was indeed very long lines to get weed.
Really?
In fact, most dispensaries open at 8 a.m. By 8:30, almost every dispensary had hundreds of people in line. Some had several thousand people in line by mid-morning. So there was a lot of people in line for some weed. But so far, we're 3 days in now. And there has yet to be a death or pandemonium or chaos. Grocery stores haven't reported any higher earnings, but that wouldn't come out till the end of the month.
Yes, we'll have to wait to see the real impact of the legislation once we see the retail numbers inside the food industry.
This is a very new experience because until January 1st, the places that you buy your weed, typically they are not open at 8 a.m.
Right.
They are not awake. So
Who's buying weed at 8 a.m.?
apparently everybody in Colorado now. I would be if there was a store. There would be a completely different reason for me being late.
That's actually a very good point, by the way. That normally, if you're in Florida, you're not going to get your dealer at 8 a.m.
No.
Your dealer does not show up at 8 a.m.
He's going to bed at 8 a.m.
More than likely.
More than likely.
Not always, though. Not always. You got different dealers, man. I mean, I don't want you to pigeonhole every dealer in Florida with that kind of statement, Greg. That ain't even right. You can't even do that.
Some dealers may be up at 8 a.m.
Maybe.
Or they may
I don't know of one.
Because they haven't gone to bed yet.
All right.
I stand by my point.
That's a good point, by the way.
So the actual price of cannabis was actually quite high. This was, I think it was $400 an ounce, which when Colorado had legalized medical marijuana, medicinal cannabis has been legalized for 10 years, and that was running about $250 an ounce. So the price is up. And they're saying that the price is up because of demand. There was a very high demand, obviously thousands of people standing in line. So that did, it's the market. It brought the price up, but the price should stabilize within about a year. But it's still going to be expensive, but it's going to be legal.
Yeah, $400 for an ounce though. That's it's a little above market value, but I would imagine for that $400 though, you're probably getting pretty good quality though.
Yeah, it's pricey, but the quality's better, and the safety aspect of it,
There's no
can't
risk
be
anymore.
overstated. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to worry while you're standing there, making the exchange that cops are going to come bust in on you, or that you're going to get pulled over on the way home, or there's just so many issues with the black market that it's better to pay a little bit more and have it on a legitimate market.
Yeah, and I would agree. And what I didn't see, there are no deaths, chaos, any kind of crime or anything attributed to the legalization of marijuana. I would like to see, like how many people were in alcohol-related incidents over that same time period. That I think it's a nice comparison when marijuana is legal comparatively to just alcohol.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I think, let's see how I can say this. There's a lot of statistics and data points that I'd like to find out about that we won't be able to find out about until some time has passed and it's been legal there for a while. So first couple days in, all you got's long lines. And here's the thing: it's novel. It's the
novelty. Yeah,
the
No-
novelty
of
of it
it,
all right
yeah.
now, and that's why you got a long line. just 'cause-
Everybody wanted to buy it on the first day.
Yeah, it's like Christmas at Best Buy,
right.
Black Friday at Best Buy is what
Yeah.
it's like. But I'm very happy that Colorado and Washington were able to do this. I hope other states follow suit. I think they will. And from my understanding with Florida, that medical will be on the ballot in 2014, that they've gotten enough signatures basically to get it done. And
That hasn't been verified. That's something that they're saying. Hasn't been verified by the state that they're verified petitions, but it does look like it.
yeah, and the money was behind it pretty big to get it done, and they were able to, and they were paying for signatures at that point, so.
Yeah.
But again, how many people were they able to get through that were legitimate, and how many people were they able to get through that, that will get kicked out? So they're still telling people to get petitions, but
Right.
supposedly they have all the ones that they need in order to move forward.
Yeah, they have till mid-February to get it all done. They are saying that they do have enough. We haven't had it basically verified that they, that the signatures were all good and they do have enough. But it's looking like, they still have another month. So if they already had enough petitions and they're still getting them, it does look very good for it to be on the ballot.
Yeah. And from the Colorado one, I wanted to read something. This is from the Wall Street Journal article that goes on about it. Low prices advertising the preservation of the underground marijuana economy and the general social normalization of marijuana use will naturally encourage more consumption, which carries troubling implications for young people and problem users who smoke all the time. States ought to monitor changes in Colorado's rates of marijuana-related crime and delinquency, teenage use, drug dependence and addiction, and accidents on the roads or ski slopes. Some adults seem to be able to smoke responsibly, but like alcohol, the effects of pot on the juvenile brain are not benign. Marijuana possession remains a federal crime until Congress changes the Controlled Substance Act, which is supposed to trump state law, but the Obama administration is suspending enforcement to allow Colorado to undertake this experiment, with Washington State to follow later this year. See, even Obama understands nullification, right? No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
What they're going to do is allow a couple people to get really big over in Colorado, and they're going to bust them.
Right.
Yeah. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Obama pulled an Andrew Jackson and said, "You're going to do as I say, or I'm coming in with the army."
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We will definitely see what happens. But I am, not to diminish the joy we should be feeling, because we really should be feeling some joy over this. That
It's not legal here.
Well,
I'm not
no,
feeling
but-
the joy.
Well, to see it possible within a state,
I'm actually a
which
little
means
jealous.
They broke a barrier,
No, that is true. And we'll see how Washington State goes later this year, because I think their provisions don't start until the summer.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they wanted they actually had it to where they had almost a full year to be able to kind of detail out all the regulations. So I think midsummer or maybe in the fall.
Yeah. Well, and just to show you the Wall Street Journal, and this is the last paragraph in the article, and I almost read this just to show you. Like, I don't understand the negativity towards this.
I don't either.
Like, it ain't like you can't get weed now. It's not like they're introducing something into the marketplace that wasn't there before. It was something that was there. It was just underground. And look, they based a TV show off of marijuana. It's called Cops. Because that's all they do. That's all they do is bust. That's all they do is bust dope guys. I mean, they bust dope, and Cops is for all the nonviolent crimes. If no victim, no crime, put it on Cops.
Right.
And those people are some of the.
You watched it you had it on for about 20 minutes last night.
I used to love watching Cops. I can't even watch it anymore.
Yeah. I'm the same way. See, I grew up in a house. My dad's a retired police officer. I grew up in a house full of cops all the time. It was like, it was a great show. It was like, this is what my dad does. You know? Now, as I'm older and I see things through a different prism, it drives me up the wall to watch that show. I can't stand watching it because I see the tactics and what they do. And I'm like, that is so unnecessary. They play it fast and loose with the taser nowadays, and it really bothers me how quick they are to pull out that weapon.
Yeah.
He had it on last night for about 20 minutes, and it was the last one, and you started yelling at the TV. They pulled someone over. They had something. They basically saw him buying drugs earlier. So they get to the car, and now they're telling the girl, well, it's only going to help you if you start telling us where everything is.
Oh, that's a lie. Don't believe them.
And that's what he's yelling. Don't do it. And finally they do. Both the people go, well, there's all the drugs. And he was like, no. And that was it. He had to turn it off.
Yeah, I had to turn it off at that
He
point.
started yelling.
See, I do that at my house all the time. I where I live, it's
You
like
pull people over for pot?
well, no, I yell at people because where my house is, it's situated in just the right spot where cops sit to bust people speeding
they
down
pull
my
over,
road.
they
They
come
always
onto
end
your-
up pulled
Yeah.
over in front of my house. And like 3 times a week, I got people pulled over in front of my house. There was last night, and it was the drug task force that did it. 2 unmarked vehicles that looked like transformers with sirens and lights popping out of them, and they had these guys pulled over. And I sit outside my bedroom window, and I'm like, I refuse to consent to any searches. Am I being detained? Come on, guys, this is your script. No. Oh, no, don't get out of the car. No, don't let him search. No.
It's like Greg is trying to have a mind meld with the driver,
I
on
am.
the spot to try to somehow send the information from his brain into that person to get them to say, has it ever worked?
No. It's kind of like when you're watching a horror movie and you're like, no, don't go in the kitchen. Don't go in the kitchen.
He's in there with a knife.
don't go upstairs.
Get out of the house.
What makes you think up is an escape route? There's no way out there.
So the last paragraph of this Wall Street Journal article, it says Colorado and Washington voters may come to regret their decision if they notice a surge in drug use or more violence or a generation of underdeveloped young people. Legalization, once achieved, will be hard to reverse. Better than to let Colorado go first and watch what happens. Like, talk about a bunch of negative nillies over at the Wall Street Journal, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Come to regret their decision. I don't know. They got pretty long lines. It seems like people are kind of liking it. Like, and if drug use goes up, so now that they made it legal, a couple more people may actually start doing it. Well, you know what? The numbers actually prove that one out to where drug use actually just normalizes because we saw what happened in Portugal with that.
Exactly. And I was going to make that point earlier when you said, we're going to have to wait. You want to see the data and we're going to have to wait to see it. Well, we have the data.
Right.
We don't have it within our borders, but the data is there and it's consistent across all the countries that have done this.
Well, I hate to sound like American, but I want to see American data.
Oh my god.
I do want to see American data, though. I want to see what happens in the... Look, I do think that this country is a unique blend of all different groups and ethnicities and all that kind of stuff. So putting everybody in one place and getting them all high may have different effects than like in Portugal. So let's see what happens. I actually think crime's going to go down.
Yeah.
I think drug use is going to go up at first. It's going to spike, and then it's going to normalize. A generation of underdeveloped young people. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the music is going to sound a lot better.
Well, I
though.
think Common Core is going to underdevelop them more than
Yeah.
than the
I
drug
wouldn't be
use.
worried about the joints. All right, guys. I think I'd be worried more about what the federal government is bringing our way is when it comes to education. If anything, marijuana is going to expand your mind, but
Stimulate your mind.
They're
Oh, really?
Oh, it's dead.
Oh, is it really? Oh, sorry. He said to stimulate your mind, by the way. And we do have one on order, Greg.
That's right.
We
had
have one on order.
A very generous donor that heard the show last week decided that you do deserve a mic.
Yes.
And they also did send the email saying, let Alex know he's on notice. We're watching to see if he breaks another one.
So I will have to maintain calm in order to ensure that the mics work, continue to function and operate. And that one will be on the wall.
Thank you, anonymous donor. I love you.
Yes. And that also, we had enough left over that we could pay for the site.
Yes, we did. So that was the revamp of the website.
Yeah, so we did a revamp, 1787network.com. It's a completely revamp of the website. Just to tell you a couple things that are on there, just so you guys...
I wrote a new article this week.
Danielle did write a new article this week. But to go over the website, you can always get the latest video. It'll be on the front of it, on the right-hand side. If you don't like us on Facebook or on Twitter, you can see our numbers right there. And please like and subscribe to the 1787 Network as well. Sign up for our mailing list. It goes out every Friday. There is a huge donate button.
Like, you can't miss it. Nobody can say, I would donate, but I can't ever find it on your site. It is It's a massively huge button.
It's big, by the way. It's really big.
It is
by the way.
ostentatious.
Now, one thing on here that was a complaint in the past that has now been resolved has been the podcasts.
Yeah.
So if you click on the podcast area, we have we do SoundCloud now
For our podcasting.
for our
service.
podcasting, and all of the podcasts are there. Matter of fact, it's broken up by kind of like channels, where you have the show channel as one thing, you have the Liberty Underground show interviews as the second thing. And then the third thing is you have rants, which is not very, surprisingly enough, is not very long.
No, we don't do them as often as we should, I think.
Yes. I'm going to start doing more of the rants. I like the rants. I like the little 5-minute rants. I think those
Just
are
as
fun.
long as you don't yell.
As long as I don't yell. Yeah, no, but I can do it without yelling, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Possible.
That's how we got the first broken
It's going to be
mic.
tough. So I would already argue that our website is working better than healthcare.gov.
Oh, definitely, by far. It did take us, I think, a day and a half of screaming at each other to get it done. But I think it was just a day and a half, and we were already far surpassed healthcare.gov.
Absolutely. Because healthcare.gov has just been a train wreck, folks. Just like the Obama administration's been a train wreck, just like the new healthcare law has been a complete train wreck. It is unbelievable to see what is going on. And now is where we're getting some of the
Well,
Mandates are going to be coming down here when it comes to Obamacare.
yeah, the mandates actually started January 1st. I think most of them have to be implemented by January 14th.
I have a question.
Yes.
But it doesn't affect your taxes this year if you don't do it. It's next year's taxes,
No,
right?
you have to. Well, yeah.
When you file
When
in
you
2014
file in
and
2014, you're actually paying 2013's taxes.
Yeah, so it doesn't hit your 2013 taxes. It hits
It's
your
your
2014
taxes,
yeah.
which you won't pay till 2015. But I think it's a little funny that several weeks ago we actually talked about that there's a net loss of people with insurance with Obamacare, that more people have lost their insurance than have gained it. And it's taken a little while, but the Daily Caller actually decided to pick up with that and agree with us.
Good job, Daily Caller.
I mean, I think we're a month ahead of them, but, better late than never. They have finally run the same numbers that we did and noticed that 4.7 million Americans lost their health insurance. And if you go by the administration's numbers, which
The most generous ones.
those are the most generous ones, there's a little under 2 million people who have signed up for Obamacare. That would be a net loss of nearly 3 million people.
And you know what? I don't even believe those numbers.
I don't either.
I have no belief whatsoever that any of those numbers are
Well,
real.
have you seen how they calculate it? It's people who have put something in their shopping cart.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, and we've all done it. Like when we're shopping online, you put something in the cart to see what it's going to cost.
Right.
And then you just go, nah.
Yeah, Greg, what percentage of things have you put in a shopping cart that you've actually purchased?
I'd
And give us the most generous number you can.
No. In all seriousness, I would probably say about 600% of my online purchases went into the shopping cart and sat there before they were actually purchased, which means more of them have sat in the shopping cart and not been purchased than I actually went back and purchased. So, yeah.
It ain't going to happen, right? I mean, well, you know why? Because people do. Look, I won't go to the website.
No, I won't
will
either.
not go because they're tracking everybody's stuff
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
They're
Like,
tracking
even
IP
logging in, you're
addresses.
pinging in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I refuse to go on it. And it is they're counting this up to 2 million people. They have a little under 2 million people. That's how many people that basically check the online price.
Right.
What's it going to cost me with shipping?
Well, they're counting all the people that have something in their cart because their website doesn't work. So that's the best thing they've got. They're like, well, they might eventually buy it. They might eventually pay for it, but the website doesn't work, so we're going to give them credit.
Exactly.
Well, and two, you actually even if you went through the whole process through the healthcare.gov website, which if you were like the 4 people who could get through, you went through the entire process. You technically don't have health insurance until you pay your first premium. So they're saying that there's a huge number of people that may not pay that first premium, that basically signed up because they thought they had to and then said, you know what, I really can't afford this. I'm going to take the penalty, and don't actually get with the insurance company to pay. So even if you went through the numbers of people who enrolled, that still doesn't mean all those people are going to take the insurance.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's very true. You know what? The thing is this. It was a bad law. Everybody sees that it's a bad law. We've seen the marketing on this that is really trying to wrap a good package around this law. They're doing stupid commercials. They're spending tons of money. The administration's spending tons of money. They're trying to do deals with every group or organization they can possibly do in order to try to make this thing a reality. The money that they've spent on websites and on all this other stuff,
$6 billion.
$6 billion. I mean, if you were really looking to insure Americans, God, there was a better way to spend $6 million to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, if you really wanted to make anything affordable and you were going to spend $6 billion, just cut everybody a check.
Yeah,
it's $6 billion.
What is that? What does $6 billion equate to per person?
Well, there's 330 million people. I don't know. I don't have a calculator up, Greg. Are you going to do that?
Sure. Let me go ahead and throw that into the list of things for me to do. Hold on just a second. Let me get
I
the
saw you
calculator pulled up.
start clicking. I wasn't
Okay.
sure.
Oh,
if
is
you
there
were
no
bringing it up.
calculator on that?
No, there's a calculator.
Oh, there's not one on ours. We don't have
I
calculators.
don't have
on ours.
calculator.
6 billion divided by what? 370 million.
No, 300 million, isn't it?
No,
Is
there's
it 370 million?
370 million.
Oh, that's a lot of people. That's 70 million more people than I thought.
Well, that's 16 and a quarter.
$16?
$16 and a quarter.
Everybody gets $16.
Well, quite frankly,
What can you do with $16 is what I'm saying.
Well, you can't even buy your family a dinner at Wendy's, but
Per person, everybody gets $16, Greg.
oh, well,
Everybody.
yeah.
So that's
Well, my son's gonna spend his on Legos. I know that, so I can't count it.
You only get like 4 Legos for $16, by
That's
the
true.
way.
That's true too. He's gonna have to buy those little envelopes at the checkout line at Target.
We went shopping over, for Christmas, and we had waited till kind of the last minute on a few things. So we went, we're like, oh, let's get some Legos for the boys and stuff. And it was like, the smallest pack was like $25. And I'm like, yeah, no. This is why I glue Legos together.
I loved Legos when I was a kid. And I always wondered why my parents didn't get me more of them because I loved them so much. And now I'm an adult and I see how much they are, and I'm like, oh, that makes total
They
sense.
might as well be made out of gold for as much as they cost.
For real.
they are kind of expensive.
They are.
They are kind of expensive. I'll have to go with that. But again, this thing is. Look, Obamacare is going to fail, and it's not because, and they're trying to blame everybody and their mother. Well, it's the Republican obstructionists, like that wasn't their idea to begin with, again, once they're in charge, you're going to see, if they do happen to get back in charge, you're going to see they're not repealing Obamacare.
No.
They're just going to make it worse. They're not even going to make it better. They're going to make it worse. They may get rid of like the death panel and they'll replace it with the shiny happy face panel. Where it still does the same thing, but they just gave it a Republican name, like it's the Liberty panel, but it really kills people.
It's the Jesus panel.
It's the it's the Jesus panel.
Oh, you read my last article.
Well, we all know that all this is an introduction to single payer.
Yes.
This is a way, this is designed to fail tremendously. It is going to fail, and it is going to fail in a big, big way. And all it is it's to give people ammunition to go, hey, look, see, isn't single payer a better way?
This has
Couldn't
been
we
a
have spent-
disaster.
Could we have, look at how much money we've spent. People still aren't insured. Let's just go single payer. And people are going to go for it. They're like, you're right. The money would be much better spent, and we'd all be covered. Let's do it.
I definitely think that I don't know for sure, but I can definitely see it plausible that this was designed to be a disaster from the beginning to make the argument for single payer.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
from the beginning.
Yeah,
Because I don't know of anyone who could spend $6 billion on a website and have it work that horribly without it being on purpose. Like, you have to try to fail that hard.
Google processes more data than healthcare.gov, and they have no problems. They
Right.
do it well.
And I'm sure they didn't spend $6 billion.
Not only do they process all that data, they process it for themselves and save it and send it to the government.
They're doing your work too.
They're doing both of your jobs better than you are. That's bad.
that's how much you suck. That's how much you just totally suck, is what it is. Well, the other thing that's happening with Obamacare is because of the payment systems, because of the way in which people are paid and stuff, that you have hospitals and people that aren't able to make payroll because they're not getting their money from Obamacare.
Yeah, from Medicaid and Medicare.
For Medicaid and Medicare. Is that now you have places that are actually like legitimately hurting because they're like, well, we can't get the money, from the patients that we took care of.
And they can't make payroll. And that's a story that came out of Colorado, is that there was a hospital that basically, because of computer glitches and all of these issues, none of their Medicare or Medicaid payments came into the hospital for months. And at some point, they just didn't have the money to make the payroll. So now you have nurses and doctors and things like that going in basically for free. They haven't gotten paid. They haven't been paid in a little while, in weeks. But they still come into work because people still need to be taken care of. And Medicare and Medicaid haven't made a payment to this hospital in months.
That's actually the norm before Obamacare, and it's only going to get worse now.
Oh, it absolutely is going to get worse now. It is absolutely going to get worse now. Now, there was one other thing that was talked about as one of the reasons why we needed to do this, why we needed to have this health. They needed to pass Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act or whatever
Which
you want
is
to call it.
never, it's not,
'Cause I
hasn't
think-
been affordable to anybody.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not affordable to anybody. One of the things that they talked about is that because of the ER visits, because we had so many ER visits that people would be uninsured, and when they'd be sick, they would just go to the ER. When they would be sick, got to get rid of the fluoride in the water. When they were sick, they would go to the ER. So you had a big spike in ER visits, and that would go down if they instituted Obamacare. Well, there was a study that came out that said Medicare eligible patients are actually more likely to visit the ER instead of less expensive options. Because they have Medicare,
Yeah.
they realize that it's not going to cost them anything to go. And so they decided that, well, they're just going to go to the hospital more. Like, that's what the study has actually shown as to what's going to happen.
Well, because everybody knows a hospital visit is very expensive, and if you don't have health insurance, you're not going to go there unless you absolutely need to and have an emergency. But now, now you can go there for any little thing because there's no out-of-pocket cost to you.
The funny part about it is, this study was out before Obama made the claim, not after. It didn't come up after and refute his data. It happened before.
So he could have known.
He didn't. Look, here's the thing. If you didn't know, then you shouldn't have the job because you're too ignorant to do the job. If you did know, then you're a liar and you shouldn't have the job. Either way, the end result is should not have job. Like, should not be president. Mr. Obama should not be president. Actually, should be inmate 157155 Mark II.
Mark, too.
Mark too. Well, it shouldn't surprise anyone that Democrats legislate through emotion and what
Right.
they want to happen rather than using data and human nature
Right.
and psychology and what we actually do.
Right.
I mean, they don't make decisions
facts.
based on reality. They make decisions based on their utopia they've dreamed up in their head and what they want to happen, not what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the problem with these plans and why it hasn't been affordable is that every single plan has to cover things that may not be necessary. Where before you could kind of pick the coverage and now you can't. Like, for an example, and we've talked about this, men have to have maternity coverage. Everybody has to have maternity coverage. So even if you're a 70-year-old woman, a 10-year-old kid, or a man, you have to have maternity coverage when in most cases you can't have a baby. You don't need the coverage.
No. In every case, you can't have a baby.
No.
If I'm getting pregnant,
If you're a male,
I'm going to need a doctor. 'cause
There's
my
no
equipment is not gonna
scenario.
let this
If
happen.
you're a male, there's no scenario out there in which you can have a baby, other than like on a TV show.
But
There's been a TV show. I will give you that a TV show, but it's not TV show coverage.
Okay, everybody has to have maternity coverage. So even women who could have babies have to have maternity coverage. So in most cases, because there are more, if you add up men, children, and postmenopausal women, they would come out to a higher number than women who could have babies. So in most cases, people wouldn't use the maternity coverage, but in some they would because they'd be women who could have babies.
I appreciate you fully explaining that. I stand corrected. There you go. Well, I don't stand corrected. I still stand by the point that men can't have babies.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
I
but-
would agree with that point.
But you sit correct.
But that was I sit and I completely understand where you were going there.
Okay.
So,
And some of the things
more power to you.
and
Go women power.
and they also have to cover things like contraception. They have to cover it for everybody, children, postmenopausal women.
Why can't you just pay for your own?
And this is
I always did. No one ever bought mine for me.
no, and here's the thing.
When I was on the pill, I'll tell you this: I always had to buy my own. I'm just
I knew
saying.
it.
No, I'm talking about going to the drugstore and buying condoms.
I know.
I mean, that was always our responsibility, wasn't it?
I would think so.
I mean, weren't you of the mind that you did not assume or trust anything about girls being on the pill? I mean, I never did.
Yeah.
You tell me you're on the pill, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm still doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
Well, and this has been a big controversy because there are companies and there are religious organizations that don't believe in birth control and felt like this was an infringement on their First Amendment rights because now they have to cover something that they don't believe in. Now, and what I find interesting is that the Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor actually put in a temporary injunction on that portion of the mandate for religious organizations. Now, this was a Supreme Court justice who was appointed by Obama. And she has put in the injunction on that mandate. So there's, Catholic charities and organizations and other religious organizations that don't believe in contraception actually will not have to provide it for their employees until this kind of, the battle isn't over, but she's the one that put the injunction in, which I thought was interesting that she was an Obama appointee.
No, that's true. It's again, these guys, I don't trust any of these people. One other thing, and this, I just saw this as well, Data Goldmine, and this is, I don't know if you want to put this under the categories of two new companies that you want to start boycotting, but I'm going to start boycotting both of them. Data Goldmine, Walgreens, Walmart offer free prescriptions to Obamacare customers. This is from Breitbart, which normally I don't like to get a whole lot of news from Breitbart just because I don't like Breitbart. But in what you can interpret as either an act of corporate altruism, corporate lobbying, or a mix of both, two giant retailers, Walmart and Walgreens, have agreed to save the Obama administration from who knows how many horror story anecdotes by agreeing to fill 30 days of free prescriptions for Obamacare enrollees. The question is, though, what happens to the data and patients' information the retailers collect? When you have two of the biggest retailers in the country collecting untold amounts of personal wealth or personal health information from who knows how many people seeking free prescriptions in the wake of revelations surrounding domestic NSA and Justice Department spying on reporters, it is not unreasonable to worry about this. We also know that there's a number of large corporations who have already cooperated with the federal government data grabs. So basically, Walmart and Walgreens are going to say, we'll give anybody a free prescription if they're signed up for Obamacare.
Yeah.
But then your mic isn't on.
Yeah. That time it was not the mic.
That time it wasn't being broken. It just wasn't on.
Turn it off because I assume it's not going to work.
No.
That was funny. I'm like, wait, I don't hear anything in my headphones.
I don't even hear the snap, crackle, pop of the broken mic.
No. I mean,
what were you going to say, Greg?
I don't even remember now.
You got to stop going to Colorado.
Did you visit Colorado?
Take a trip.
That's why it took so long to get here.
That's a long drive. It's a long-ass drive. It's a long-ass drive.
Now we know.
What were you going to say, Danielle?
I don't remember.
See,
So now everybody just says
to all
screw
of
it,
us.
right? I don't know. I don't even know what's going on.
No.
Obamacare sucks. That's what we were saying.
Listen, I think that you have to understand that almost all large companies, if asked by the government to give away your information, are going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. That is one of the reasons more than any that you need to look. I think you should start boycotting Walmart and Walgreens for this simple the simple thing they did right here. Again, I'm not making a Facebook page or anything like that. I'm just gonna stop going, and I'm just gonna encourage others to do the same.
I haven't shopped at Walmart in years, and this is par for the course for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not the type of person that's like, you don't need to shop at Walmart. You should boycott Walmart. I just do it myself. You know,
Yeah.
it's my own decision.
Yeah.
We go there very, very infrequently. I mean, it really has to be. I mean, I think that maybe we've shopped at Walmart in the last year, maybe 3 or 4 times, maybe even 6 at the most. I mean, generally we don't do it.
That's a little bit of a. What you're saying isn't wrong, but there's more to the story than that.
What's that?
Well, because sometimes Kelly goes out and shops.
No, but she
most of the
doesn't
time.
go there.
Oh, where does she go?
Well, we normally go between Winn-Dixie and Sweet Bay and things like that. And
Oh, okay.
we
All
don't
right.
even Deals, Dollar General, Big Lots. I mean, we don't really shop at Walmart.
Okay, all right, good to go. I stand corrected. My ignorance on the subject has now been enlightened. Because I don't go out and do shopping.
No, you don't do any of the shopping. Every once in a while, you'll go with one of us.
I'm not having any fun.
But in
We've
all
heard
honesty,
about you at a store.
yeah,
Let's
no,
keep
I
him
mean,
out of
it's
there.
like now. Every once in a while, it's like in the grocery store. It's like, we need this. No, nobody eats that. Oh, are you sure? Yeah, I'm really sure. We grocery shop all the time. We don't need that.
Yeah.
You eat this. We just cook it first. You don't recognize it.
Yeah, what is this thing?
Yeah,
What the hell is this thing looking? I don't understand.
yeah. No, he's horrible at a grocery store, and normally you end up buying 4 times as much stuff. It's so much better to go shopping without Alex.
Yeah, I have totally done like the the dishes breaking thing when it comes to stores, so like I don't have to go now.
We have both decided it is much better to go on our own than to bring him with us.
It's very nice. I
But,
enjoy
but
it very
sometimes
much
we
so
go
now.
together, so that's always nice. But then there, we can always separate and go to different stores that we need to go to. So, but either way, it is without Alex.
Yes.
I see the new year's going to start off with just more yes talk. With more yes talk. That's always nice to see.
Well, it's just so nice of you to surround yourself with yes people.
I love it. I love it very much so. It's always great. Well, let's bring it back to Washington if you don't mind.
Oh,
Can
okay.
we do that? Can
Yes,
we do that?
can.
Or unless you got more things to say about me in a negative way.
Do we have that kind of time?
Touche, my friend, touche, huh?
I don't think we do.
I guess now the bad guy comes out. You know? I guess now it's time for the bad guy. You know, that's what you want to be, Greg. That's okay. That's okay. You've been bad.
I hate that voice.
If it gets you doing Tony Montana the rest of the day, I will insult you the rest of the show.
I know you will, and I know you'll do this. I know you'll do this. All right, let's go back to
Okay.
the news from
So-
the Guardian.
Besides the Obamacare being a disaster, and them spending way too much money on things that we can't afford, Democrats have tried to fast track a fix to reinstate lost unemployment benefits. This is from the Guardian, because I get all my news from overseas because they tend not to lie as much.
Hold on a second here. And not to dig on everybody because we're it's a little bit of a digging show. Maybe we're just going to keep this going in 2014. You don't need to mention that every time you get an article from the Guardian.
I wasn't even going to mention that I got the article from the Guardian. You did.
Yeah, but you didn't need to mention the other part though.
Well, then don't mention the Guardian unless you want me to say that.
Is that how the show's going to go? Is that how this is going to be today?
I think so.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Every time it's like, well, I don't. Why? You know what? Honestly, I'm going to make her start. I'm going to start just forcing American news on her.
What source?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. It's very.
There is
difficult.
American news? Wait, you going to start watching TMZ or something? That's about
We're going to start watching The Daily Show.
There you go.
All right.
Daily Show or the Colbert
So what was on the Guardian?
The thing is that if you make me start watching it, you have to watch it.
That's a good point.
Because you don't watch it either.
Well, it is good. I will tell you, I get a little bit of joy in making her listen to NPR when we're driving in the car.
Oh, gosh, and I hate it.
You get more than a little bit of joy out of that.
I get a lot of joy out of that, actually.
And that's not even
I
news.
th-
They talk about stupid things.
I thoroughly enjoy listening to NPR. I really, really, really do. I know it sounds funny, but I mean, and look, they're a bunch of commies. I mean, don't get me wrong. They are a bunch of commies. But they talk in a nice, calm voice.
They do. They have
They're
this.
soothing.
They have a.
And they
very-
do bring up subjects that, like, some of the human interest stuff I actually find to be interesting. It's the human interest stuff I find interesting overall.
Sometimes it can be. NPR is for people who don't have narcolepsy but really, really want it.
It's a good point, by the way. All right, so The Guardian. What's going on? What's going on over there?
Oh, sorry, that was funny. So no, basically, all the Senate Democrats are trying to reinstate the unemployment because a lot of people unemployment actually ends after about 2 years. It's 98 weeks, so it's just a little under 2 years. You only get unemployment for 98 weeks. Well, so a lot of people.
Hold on a second here, and not to cut you off here. How long do you get unemployment for?
98 weeks.
How many weeks are in a year?
52.
It's almost 2 years worth of benefits that you get, right?
Yeah. No, apparently not, because a lot of people are starting to see their unemployment benefits end, which is why you're seeing the drop in the unemployment numbers. The unemployment numbers that you get from the government basically are loosely based on how many people are collecting unemployment.
How many people are we writing a check to? That's
So-
the number.
Right. So when people drop off and aren't getting benefits anymore, even though they haven't gotten a job, they just kind of drop off of the list. They're still unemployed. We just don't count them anymore.
Yeah, go with it. Continue with the story. I'm sorry. I'll wait for my analysis until the end.
So the Democrats are,
Jerks.
and under
Not you guys, by the way. Go ahead. Sorry.
Harry Reid and several of the other Democrat senators are trying to basically fast track a bill that would extend unemployment benefits for 3 additional months after the 98 weeks.
Because they wanted to hit the full year? Is that what it is? Well, no, 98.
It would actually be more than
Oh yeah, they want to go over.
Yeah.
They want to shoot the moon and go over 2
That
years.
would
would be
put
over
them
2
at 1
years.
week over 2 years. Because 2 years would be 104
It would be
weeks.
104
and that's
weeks,
going to
so
put
you're
them at
about-
105 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second here. This is from Harry Reid, so I'm reading the article as well. It says, on a human level, many of these people are desperate, Reid said in an interview on Thursday. It is the difference between being able to pay their mortgage or not. Many of these people who have worked for decades, they had good jobs, and they have been sending out thousands of resumes. But there's a job, but they're in a job market that is terrible. Okay, first off, that's lies. That's just lies. First off, if these people have been unemployed for 2 years, they don't have a mortgage. They pay rent.
Yeah.
They don't have a mortgage.
Not anymore.
That's the first thing. These people may be desperate, but they're not. And the reason they're not desperate is you can't find a job in 2 years? Are you kidding me?
You'd be able to find something.
There's 3 million, with an M, 3 million skilled labor jobs that are begging for people right now. I walked into Applebee's last night. Big, huge sign out front. Now hiring within. Right? Did you see
Yeah,
that sign
I
when
did
you
also
walked
see
in?
the
You remember
sign.
seeing that?
Yeah.
Very observant, by the way, if you did.
Well, it was a pretty big sign.
Yeah. Okay, mildly observant you are.
Yeah.
Basically, you could read.
There's I see
you're literate.
signs from companies all over the place. And they have people sending out thousands of resumes. That's an outright lie.
Yeah.
Unless you're putting on the resume, I'm an axe murderer.
No, they're absolutely right. It's because, they lost their job as an electrical engineer and they want another job as an electrical engineer and they will take no other job other than
Right.
an electrical engineer. And yeah, nobody's hiring in that position. So sorry that you're too good to get something else,
Yeah.
that you can't go wait tables until you find the right job or whatever.
You majored in art history, and the museum is full.
Yeah. Yeah, you're the dumbass with a PhD in philosophy.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
Yeah. You do need a marketable skill, and it's unfortunate that you have Democrats that these people are just losers. The worst part about it is the people believe them and trust them.
Yes.
The worst part about it is that there are some people out there that actually think that Harry Reid's a really good guy, and that he's working hard for me. Again, and I talked to somebody this week, because I take phone calls for the LP, and I talked to somebody this week, and it's not like this article pisses me off. But it doesn't piss me off for the reasons that people think it pisses people off for. Like, it doesn't piss me off for the normal reasons. It pisses me off because we have people in charge that are such morons. I don't blame the people as much as I blame these. Because, look, we're the ones giving them 100 weeks of unemployment. You know what I mean? The natural human condition would be to just take the money. And they've set it up so it works very well that way. And they try to extend the unemployment benefits. Because if people had to actually go out and work for themselves, then they wouldn't want Harry Reid in office. Because then they're like, well, Harry Reid's taking all the money and he's not really doing anything for us. Harry Reid's not really a good guy. He's a disgusting person. This is the same guy that didn't like the fact of going, of not having a separate entrance up at the Capitol? Because he
Yes.
didn't like the smell of the tourists?
Yes.
You know, the other Americans that pay his freaking salary, he didn't like the smell of those people. This disgusting piece of human trash.
There you go, right there. That is the telltale sign of a tyrant. He does not want to have to associate with the unwashed masses. He must have his own secret entrance into the ivory tower so he doesn't have to be around these filthy peons. I mean, that says it all. It says it all.
Right.
Everything you need to know is all right there.
Yeah. Check this out, by the way. This is another Harry Reid thing. Reid said 49,000 people, many of whom had once had successful managerial jobs, had lost benefits in Rhode Island over the last week. Their suffering is the kind of mental torment of someone whose future is suddenly uncertain, he said. Look, if anybody living in this country, their future's uncertain right now, considering you, dumbass. You're 40
Your
or
dollar's
50
worth
years
3 cents.
Yeah. You're 40 or 50 years old and you've worked all your life and suddenly you're thinking, I may never get a job anything like the one I had when I was laid off. No, you might be able to start your own business because if you knew what you were doing as a manager, then you'd be able to do it yourself and start your own business and become an entrepreneur. Or you can just continue to collect a paycheck. But that's what they really want at the end of the day.
Right.
The thing that Harry Reid and the rest of them want is they don't want people to be entrepreneurs. They don't want people to go out there and think for themselves and self-sustain. They want people that will be dependent upon them for their very lives. And they are very happy that they can try to extend this thing to keep the game going for a little bit while longer. Because if these things weren't around, then Harry Reid wouldn't be in office, but not because these people would all be dead. It's because these people would have to make it for themselves, and they would realize that people like Harry Reid are evil. EVIL. All big letters. Evil. Harry Reid is a disgusting piece of human. Here's the thing: like they want to get on MSNBC for being filth, for being smug, filth people that they are, and they are, by the way. Make no mistake about it. The people on MSNBC are Obama mouthpiece pieces of crap. There's no getting around it, and there's no giving anybody a pass. All of them, every one of them, from Ed Schultz till Joe till Brzezinski, to Melissa Paris Harry, horrible woman that she is, to and most of the contributors that are on that network, they are all disgusting pieces of human trash. And the second that station actually goes under, which it won't because it's funded by the Fed, but actually if that station ever does go under, because very few people will even watch it anyway, like their numbers are so disgustingly low. It's not even funny, but they're still on, and they're part of NBC, which is why you should just quit watching MSNBC or NBC altogether now. At this point, I'm actually thinking about not even watching Revolution when it comes back on.
Why?
Just because because it's on NBC.
Oh, well, yeah, I understand that.
Just because it's on NBC, no other reason. But Harry Reid is another one of these guys, and it's just many people are like this guy acts like he's there trying to help people, but he's not.
Well, yeah.
It's him and the rest of them in the MSNBC crowd. Like, they're so despicable. I'm sorry. Just despicable people. Sorry to rant. Did I go too loud on that?
No, not too. You are kind of on a perpetual rant this morning, which is fun.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Okay.
Because you haven't gotten loud, you've been able to kind of space it out.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll go with that. That's good.
It hasn't been like an all-out at once like burst of angry Alex. It's just been mild anger over the course of the entire hour.
Well, I didn't want to start. I didn't want to start 2014 passive aggressive. So I apologize if I did. That was not my intent. We got 7 minutes. We got 7 minutes for the top of the hour here. We got to get to the juiciest story. I mean, we really did save the best for last in the first hour.
You like that story?
This is. You want to talk about the definition of irony? You're looking at it right here. Go ahead, Danielle.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the new excursion in the North Pole? And we're not talking about Santa Claus.
An expedition went out to the Antarctic.
Which is the South Pole, by the way, Alex.
Right.
Oh, it was the South Pole?
Which is why I started laughing.
Oh, I didn't realize it was the South Pole that we were going to. My bad. I don't like you people anyway.
So they took on it. They went out on an expedition because they were a bunch of lefties, and they were going to prove global warming existed. They wanted to see the polar ice caps melting before their eyes. They knew it was a disaster up there, and it was, and they got stuck in a sheet of ice.
They got stuck in a sheet of ice. So a whole bunch of scientists, or whatever you want to call them, that wanted to show that global warming is existing.
And the polar ice caps were melting, going to melt all over them.
Yeah, got stuck in the ice. Now, the better part is this. The first rescue vehicle, because it required a rescue vehicle, that was sent to go bail them out,
Also got stuck
in
a glacier's ice shelf.
This is all because Metallica just held that concert down in Antarctica, and they performed the song "Trapped Under Ice."
Really? That's not true.
No.
That's not true.
Metallica did have a concert in Antarctica. I have no idea whether the music they played actually had anything to do with this.
Hold on, did Metallica really have a concert in Antarctica?
Yeah.
Was anybody there?
Well, like
Penguins.
the staff.
Like, did they just do a show in Antarctica and nobody else was there?
Well, I mean, there were people there. I mean, the point was not about, getting 60,000 people to show up at a show in Antarctica. It was about doing a show in Antarctica.
Right.
They have now performed on every continent on the planet, and there are no other bands that can say that.
Right. It was to be able to say they performed on all the continents.
Oh, like they had a bucket list.
They did. They had a bucket
Like that was
list.
part of the Metallica bucket list?
I guess so.
I
All
guess.
right, we'll go with it. We'll go with it.
They played for the penguins and the polar bears.
So we have these people that are trying to prove that global warming exists. I'm sorry, it's so
They
funny.
got frozen over.
They got frozen over. And I saw this the other day. They had how you have the polar bear commercial where they're like, the polar ice caps are melting and polar bears are dying at a rapid rate. Like, it's been bigger than it's almost ever been.
Well, they did say, this is funny, because now they're trying to cover their asses, that La Nina is slowing the Antarctic melt.
God, you people suck. God, you people you're making it up as you're going along.
They do. The leftists make it up as they go along, and they got an excuse for everything.
Because you didn't talk to La Nina on there when you were stuck and figured it out. That information was out there before, and so if that was the case, then don't go that far in. You know what I mean? Don't go that. You got stuck in the ice. It's game over.
Yeah.
The data's in. The data's irrefutable. One, you can't drive a boat for shit. So let's just go down there.
Your
The second
rescue
thing
boat
is
got stuck in ice.
your rescue boat got stuck in ice. Maybe this global warming thing ain't exactly the same thing that you're thinking it is. You stupid, ignorant people.
I
You
think
keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I think at some point, about 4 days in to them being stuck on the glacier ice shelf,
Because it was multiple days that they were stuck.
they should have been saying, "Damn, I wish we had some global warming going on."
Yeah, I wouldn't minded a little global warming right now to be able to get you out. Or we could have used global warming to get the boat out that tried to save you. Like you dumbasses. God, you people are just ignorant. Just ignorant. Again, you know why libertarianism is great? Do you want me to tell you why libertarianism is great? Not only is it great, but it is the thing that will save this planet.
Why is that?
Because it is a whole bunch of people that realize that they have no idea what's going on, and so they don't want to try to rule over your lives. That ultimately, at the end of the day, they can't tell you how to live your life. They can only tell you how they can live their life. And they can't dictate to you how you should be able to live your life. Is that they know that they're not smart enough. They're not smarter than all of us. And that collectively, the free market, and everybody goes, oh, the free market. The free market is simply this. All of us being able to make decisions in a free way. And it is those decisions that is the free market. Again, they call it it's called a lot of different things, but in all reality, it's choice. It's the fact that all of us can choose and that we vote with our choice, and that vote is either good or it's bad.
Yeah.
These people are just, oh my God.
And the second best thing about being a libertarian is we can make fun of everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
that is one of the really cool
and
benefits.
the third best thing is the weed.
It's the weed. Libertarians get the best
the
weed.
libertarian stash.
That's the third best thing about libertarianism.
And I did get,
And I'd argue with the order, but we'll leave that argument for a different day.
I did get corrected. Polar bears are up north. They played only for penguins.
They played for
Yes,
penguins.
I could have told you that.
Oh, my bad.
I didn't notice it though.
I haven't been there, so I don't know.
Polar bears are on the North Pole. Penguins are on the South Pole. That's why whenever anybody
So
asks you,
penguins and polar bears don't live together?
right? That's why if anybody ever asks you if polar bears will eat penguins, it's a trick question because they're on opposite ends of the planet.
Are you saying there's no penguins on the North Pole at all?
Correct.
And there's no polar bears on the South Pole at all?
Correct.
I didn't know that.
Wow. We learned something new today.
Thank
you.
It was
Thank-
educational.
Thank you, Greg.
I didn't know that.
Hold on. One,
Yes.
two.
Thank you, Greg.
My pleasure.
We do have to take a break, though.
Oh, we do have to take a break. All right, let's take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk about Kathleen Peters, Charlie Crist, the most important elections, and Brandon will be on in that hour as well.
Yes.
Is that good to say that, all that stuff, right?
Sure.
That was
Absolutely.
a little
We'll get
teaser
to all
right there.
that.
All right, you're listening to Liberty Underground, 1787network.com. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority, man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen his hand, don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for life. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Clearwater, St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground. You know, I figured I'd start with actually the cities that we were, that it's in first.
Yeah.
Then go Tampa Bay first. So, me, this is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground. Along with me, Danielle Alexandre. Good morning. How are you, Danielle?
Good morning. I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Merry New Year to you, too.
Merry New Year.
Greg Bowen. There's two references for Merry New Year, so.
Okay.
But Greg
I
Bowen,
only know of the one.
I'll tell you the second one right now.
Okay.
Greg Bowen, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing great.
Do you know the other reference to Merry New Year?
No. Enlighten me, please.
Trading Places.
That's right.
Eddie Murphy, Trading Places.
No.
Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd.
Oh,
yeah.
Trading Places, another movie you haven't seen?
No, I've never even heard of it before. Like a lot of movies I haven't seen, but I've at least known that I haven't seen them. That one I had no idea that it even existed.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get Jamie Lee Curtis, Dan Aykroyd. There's a lot of people in it, but yeah, we'll have to show that one for sure. You'll definitely have to see that one down the road. That's
a great movie.
That is a great movie, by the way. It's an old movie, but a great movie though. Shows how you can beat the man.
Yes.
Always a good show whenever you can beat the man. Hopefully everybody's having a good New Year. Let's get right to the news. Danielle, how would you like to start?
There was a candidate forum last night, and this was only for the Republican candidates in the District 13 special election. And I haven't heard what all happened at the entire candidate forum, but I do know that someone wasn't there.
Who wasn't there, Danielle?
Kathleen Peters was a no-show.
Imagine that. Imagine a candidate not showing up to a candidate forum that they were invited to.
2 weeks before the election.
Yeah, it is like 2 weeks before the election.
Yeah, she's got 2 weeks until their primary, and she's going to not show up at a candidate forum. I don't think she really has the numbers to be throwing it away like that.
No, she actually, and over the holiday weekend, and it actually wasn't the weekend because the holiday was in the middle of the week.
It's so confusing.
It felt like a weekend.
It did.
But But Kathleen Peters also was telling some reporters at the Tampa Bay Times that she was stretched very thin because of her duties as a state House rep, being on the campaign trail, and having a family.
Yeah. Well, she has a very elderly, father, and he has Parkinson's, and it's it's not going well, and she's the primary caregiver. Now, let me say this, and I know this may sound a little hard, and let it sound hard. If your job is to take care of your father, and he's not doing well, maybe you shouldn't run for office.
Right.
Like, maybe you shouldn't be an elected official. Like, I understand, if you have family issues, but you shouldn't be running for office.
Right.
You should be taking care of what's important. It's not important that you run for Congress. It's important that you take care of your father. So don't use your father now as an excuse as to why you can't be there, because you shouldn't be in the race to begin with. But this just goes like, this is so Republican of her. So Republican. Kathleen Peters should not be in the race because she has a sick father that she needs to take care of. And that's more important than her running for office. But her own personal ambition trumps how she feels about her father. So don't come on here and try to cry, oh, poor me, because I have a sick dad. You shouldn't be in the race to begin with, woman.
Well, I mean, listen, you have to, anytime someone takes on a position or a job or, goes to do something, you have to weigh out what's going on in your personal life and basically say, can you take this on? Will it be unfair to the people in your district that you can't give that job the attention that it deserves because you have family obligations? Listen, it's a good thing that you take care of your family. That should be your number one priority. And I would never begrudge anyone who put that over anything else. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
But then to stay as a state legislator, because she did not resign to run, she didn't have to, but she didn't resign to run. So she's going through the committee weeks and things like that as a state legislator, running for Congress, and having to take care of her family. And she's complaining that she's stretched too thin. Well, you shouldn't have taken it all on, because you didn't have to run for the state legislature. You didn't have to run to be a state rep. You didn't have to run for Congress. You should have been focusing just on taking care of your family, because that should be the priority right now.
Yeah, that should be your priority in your life. And the fact that you don't do that just goes to show you that here's the thing. To be honest with you, I'm disgusted. I'm personally disgusted by the whole thing. And the reason I'm disgusted is you have a sick family member.
And her brother just passed away.
Yeah, and your brother just passed away. And you don't think, your own personal ambition is getting in your way from actually helping, your family. Disgusting, if you ask me.
I think the fact that this came out in the paper makes me pause a little on Kathleen Peters, because it does look like she's using the tragedy of her brother's death and her father's illness to gain sympathy votes. And I can't say that that's her motivation, but I can't see why else I would be reading about this in the newspaper.
Yeah. Honestly, she's like, let's take advantage of it. That's what it is.
Because if I had those things going on in my family, I probably wouldn't have given a full interview. I would have said, yes, we have something, I'm taking care of my family. Thank you very much. But there's many, many quotes from her in this article. So she obviously gave a very lengthy interview to make this story happen.
I guess you got time for the interviews, though.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, real nice. Good job. It's despicable. And again, I feel for anybody's family if they're going through hard times right now and that you have to deal with that. But you know what, though? You should say, for the betterment of my family, I'm dropping out of the race.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think at some point you have to say my family's more important than
Jack LaValla.
Yeah, than Jack LaValla.
Because that's what it is. You're running for Jack LaValla because you were asked by Jack LaValla to run. So your family should be more important than him.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously in last week we had Mark Bergeron, who's also running in that Republican primary, and then David Jolly, who we will not have on because we don't like him.
I wouldn't have him on if he paid me. If he paid me. Well, like he paid Jesse Jackson Jr.
Right.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, like he paid Jesse Jackson Jr. money. Yeah. That guy's sitting in jail right now for wasting people's money. Yeah, he paid him money. Some of that money was from him, too. Directly, by the way. He donated directly to his campaign.
Yes, he definitely did.
Yeah, so that's always nice to see.
And that's a very important race for for Pinellas County. It's District 13. That's the seat that was vacated by the death of Bill Young. This has been a very kind of bloody war for this seat. It's definitely hit below the belt. I definitely think Kathleen Peters is using some unfortunate family circumstances to win some sympathy, and I personally think that's pretty bad.
I think it's disgusting when people do that, by the way. I really do. I find it despicable. It's sad, too, because I feel bad for her family is who I feel bad for. Like, I feel bad for the family in this one.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for her. But she's not the only person that's doing despicable things. The next one is the former Republican governor, current Democrat candidate
For governor.
And
was, for a short time, the independent candidate for Senate.
Yes, in the independent candidate. This guy and Nick Eggeroff have about the same consistency in party, is what we have here. Those two people have about the same consistency in party and can argue both sides. Like, I got to tell you, like, in the Liberty movement, like, Charlie Crist, or Nick Eggeroff is our Charlie Crist.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Definitely.
Yes, definitely he is. What's funny is I think the only party Charlie hasn't tried to be in is the LP because we would throw his ass out.
Yeah, there's no way he would want to belong to our party.
He's a power monger. He's not interested in anything that's not going to get him into power.
Absolutely.
The Democrats and Republicans are the only pathway to that right now, so that's the only parties he's interested in.
But he's having to apologize, and this is what the story is about, and it's been run everywhere. Basically, Charlie Crist gave a huge interview apologizing for supporting the same-sex marriage ban. He's also apologized for not supporting medical marijuana. He's apologized for a whole lot of things that he did in office.
Hang on a second, by the way. It wasn't that he supported the same-sex marriage ban. He signed it into law.
Yeah, he was the one that had to give the final yes.
Like, it was voted on in the House, it was voted on in the Senate, the State House, State Senate, and it got on his desk, and he picked up his pen, and he wrote out his signature to put it into law.
Yes, he definitely did. He's expressed regret, his past support of the Second Amendment. He's apologizing for a lot of stuff. So he basically is trying to endear himself to Democrat voters. But to do that, he had to apologize basically for being Charlie Crist in 2008.
Hang on a second here. And in this is so funny, by the way. In this, this is his quote. "I'm sorry," the 57-year-old politician told reporter Tom Dyer. "I'm sorry I did that. It was a mistake. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I'm not perfect," Crist added. "Please don't hold me to that standard. And I'm sincerely sorry. I understand when it's necessary to say I was wrong. That's the journey I'm on, and I'm still on it."
You know, I think anyone who uses the word journey is a liar.
Look, here's the thing.
Unless you're Steve Perry.
I don't know if Crist believes, unless you're Steve Perry. It
You
took
just
a second.
got that.
I
It
got
took
it.
a
I
second.
got it. I got
It's a
it.
joke grenade. You pull the pin and throw it. You got to wait a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Joker.
Charlie Crist. It's not that Charlie Crist is perfect or not perfect, and nobody can be held to that standard. What he is he'll say anything to get elected.
He's an opportunist.
He will say and do anything. He has there's no moral code or no internal code or no principles behind anything that he does. He'll say whatever it takes in order to get elected. It's disgusting. It really is. I hate to be disgusted right in the beginning of the year, but this is just another one of these things. And if you're in the let me make sure I get LGBT community, if you're gay or lesbian or whatever,
or somewhere in between,
you can't be buying this. You can't buy into Charlie Crist. You can't buy into this. This guy does not care.
The only thing he's dedicated to is a spray tan.
and winning an office.
Yeah.
And he's a power monger.
Yeah.
Because honestly, he will say whatever he needs to say to win an office. And right now, he has to apologize for being Republican. He's going to have to apologize for being an independent. He's a perpetual apologist because he only wants to say whatever you're going to do, whatever it's going to take to get you to vote today.
Yeah. Now, one other quote from Charlie Crist. The Republican leadership is now perceived as being anti-women, anti-gay, anti-minority, anti-environment, and anti-public education, said Crist. Hold on a second here. You were the Republican governor. It ain't like you were a Republican governor in the 90s, guy. You were a Republican governor up until, what,
4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, 4
3 years ago.
Yeah,
Rick Scott's been in office 3 years.
Yeah. You were a Republican governor 3 years ago. You didn't leave the party because of that. You got you left the party because you were going to lose because you gave Obama a hug. Now I'm a hugger, so I understand. But that's why you got. Here's the thing: tell the truth. I'm so sick and tired of politicians that lie, and Charlie Crist is the poster boy for lying. He is just. And he has no shame whatsoever in it. Like, he will live a lie. Doesn't even care. Look, the Kathy Jordan medical marijuana bill, the fact that they went down and arrested her, they used the law that Chris put into place in order to bust Kathy Jordan. That's what they did. Charlie Crist has blood on his hands as it relates towards public policy in this state.
Yeah.
And if Democrats, if you vote for him, then you are your party doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to destroy your own, which, fine if that's what you want to do. But you are going to destroy, you're not going to turn this state blue, by the way.
Well, he says, and this is, I think, the biggest comment, this is when he's being the most truthful. He says, Florida's changing, she's turning blue. And that's why he's a Democrat. And that's the only reason why he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Florida's turning blue, holding its breath, waiting for a real leader to come along and help us.
And that's why we have Adrian Wiley, WileyForGovernor.com.
Yeah,
WileyForGovernor.com.
And if you're in the LGBT community, the only candidate that will actually protect your rights is Adrian. That's it. Because Adrian doesn't care what you do with your life, so he's not going to judge you. He's not going to, pass a law that makes it harder for you to do things. Matter of fact, he's going to get the laws out of the way so you can live your life as you see fit. And as long as you're not infringing on the rights of another, you can do as you wish. Wouldn't you rather have that in a governor than either the current Republican governor, who is a train wreck, or the past Republican governor, who is Charlie Crist?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are both despicable human beings. They really are. And the thing is this. I wish these people weren't horrible human beings. I wish they weren't, man. It'd be nicer that we could be trustworthy of people in government. But, Rick Scott passes a law to test welfare recipients on for drugs, right? But exempts out the politicians, the Trey Radel exemption. So exempts out the politicians because those guys are on a juice.
Obviously.
And then come to find out that, one, it's not even effective at all. It's not even effective at doing it. It costs a bunch of money, and he owns a company that does drug testing. The company that does drug testing. Corporatism run amok, guys. Corporatism run amok. That's your party of limited government, by the way, folks. There you go.
Right.
Passed by the Republican-controlled House, passed by the Republican-controlled Senate, signed by the Republican governor. Party of limited government. Something does not match.
They only want the government limited where they have things that they want to purchase.
Yeah.
If they can own it with their corporation, then they want government out of the way. If they can't own it with their corporation, then they want to control the government that is in control of it.
Yeah, listen, and as far as Charlie Crist goes, and he's only out for Charlie Crist. The thing is and I think he proves more than ever how alike the two parties are. That they're embracing Charlie Crist after him implementing everything that they're supposedly against when he was the Republican governor. And for them to just embrace him and say, well, he said he's sorry, he changed. It was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't have this sudden come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, and like you said, it just shows how little difference there is between them, because he doesn't really have to change his ideology. He doesn't really have to change how he's going to govern. All he has to change is what he says as it relates to the talking points of the litmus test issues for each party. What he actually does once he's in office doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, and I thought this was interesting. The Florida Watchdog went through all of the gubernatorial races in the entire country. because there's a big kind of power play between the two parties right now, because there's been a back and forth from 2010 till now between who controls all the governors, the governor mansions, and who controls the Senate, who controls the House, and who can hold on to those things. But Republicans took over a lot of state governors races in 2010. And so they're kind of the watchdog.org and the Florida division of that actually went through all of the ones in the entire country and basically said which ones are the most important. And the Florida's race came up number 1. This will be the race to watch gubernatorially throughout the country because of the former Republican governor against the current Republican governor. There's a third party candidate that's doing very well, and you never know where that's going to end up. So this is basically being touted as the race to watch for this year.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good by the way. I will say this though on for Florida Watchdog that your website should be ashamed of themselves. And I am going to make an issue of this part that you didn't even put Adrian's name in the race. Like you didn't even put Adrian's name in the article.
But now the Florida Current this morning did. The Florida Current basically did say that this has been touted as the race to watch, and they did mention Adrian and how well he was polling.
Yeah. Well, I will just say this though, is that Florida Watchdog, you have now you should change your name to
Florida
Lapdog because you didn't even put Adrian's name in there. Like it really is. And again, Florida Watchdog. I know the person that actually runs this site or is part of this site, and I haven't seen this person in quite some time. I'm sure I will see this person again, and when I do, that person will have a piece of my mind because you are now showing that you are nothing but a shill Republican group here by doing what you've done. Really is kind of shameful. I would think that they would actually have done it the right way, but Florida Watchdog, wow, shame on you guys. Really, shame on you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I said, it was very interesting to see the Florida Current. I didn't pull the story in time because I saw it just before we went on air. But the Florida Current basically said the same things, that this is the race to watch. This is going to be the race watched all over the country. They did mention Adrian, though, and said that he's polling very well, and he could really, really impact this race.
Yeah.
So good on the Florida Current, which I tend to really like them. They tend to be very unbiased.
You know, I'll tell you that right now. The Florida Current is one, and that's not like the Daily Current or the Daily Current or whatever. Right.
That's satire.
Yeah, that's satire. That's not real. But the Florida Current is a news site that is unbiased. I mean, and they'll lay it out for you. You may not like the way that may not like what they do, but they are very good at that, though. I got to give them a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, and they tend to say, like, this side is saying this side is saying that. So they do show both opinions, but they do it in a very balanced way, in a very, like, you don't ever get the sense that the writer is going one way or the other, but just basically reporting what's going on in Tallahassee or what's going on around the state. So they did write an article about the gubernatorial race in Florida this year. I did mention Adrian, saying that he's polling very well and very well could have a big impact on this race. They also mentioned Nan Rich.
As they should.
Right.
As they should.
Yeah. So good on them, and I really like that site. So, that's a good thing. But going forward, especially for the people in Clearwater, you got some huge races that are coming up. You have a lot of, you have the special election coming up in March. This is a huge race that everybody's looking at. Bill Young was there for 43 years. So who's going to replace him is a big deal. And you have a great libertarian in that race and a bunch of not so great other candidates.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
a bunch of horrible candidates, really.
Look, here's the thing. The only wasted vote that's going to happen in November of 2014 for governor of Florida is ones that are selected for either Rick Scott or Charlie Crist. That's the only wasted vote that's going to happen there. Not voting is not a wasted vote. If you actively go to the polls and put a vote in for either Charlie Crist or for Rick Scott, then you have wasted your vote.
Well, I mean, definitely they are the former Republican governor against the current Republican governor, who both legislated like progressives, I'd like to know what the difference is. I mean, it basically is those two against Adrian, you know what I mean? Because those two are the same person.
Yep.
You know, one just has a better tan.
Quite frankly, if you don't vote for Adrian Wiley for governor and Lucas Overby for Congress, you're basically saying that you're happy with the way things are going. That the Democrats and the Republicans are doing just fine, and they can continue to hold the reins, and there is no problem.
Yep. Everything, keep calm and join the dark side.
Yeah. Congress has a 9% approval rating. So if you don't do something different this time around, then you're complicit in that. Don't ever say that you're not approving of the job they're doing when you are voting the same two parties in office that are going to do the same things that they've always done.
Yep, exactly. All right, well, let's take a break. When we get back, our favorite man, Brandon Jones from the Global Dispatch, a website that is not a lapdog for the GOP, will be on to discuss, well, whatever it is that Brandon wants to discuss. So, it's been Liberty Underground. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Gary Johnston, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com. FedEx.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. On the phone with us, getting ready to get set in here for his inaugural 2014 debut, or not? Is it really inaugural? That's
No, it
probably not the right
wouldn't
way
be
to say
inaugural.
it. For
It
the
would be the
2014 debut of the Global Dispatch segment of the Liberty Underground show is our good friend Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones is the purveyor of the Global Dispatch and is a very nice guy and will tell you about The Walking Dead if you ask him. Brandon, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
Happy New Year to everyone. I'm very, very blessed. How is everyone?
Merry New Year to you as well, and I'm doing well. Danielle, how you doing?
I am doing well myself.
Are you having fun?
I'm having fun today.
There you go. She's having fun today.
Unlike when 7-Eleven was running the wrong cups.
Yes, unlike when 7-Eleven was running the wrong cups. How are you doing, Brandon? You're doing very blessed, you said, but how's the New Year been for you so far?
I tell you what, we had one of the best days we've had, and I don't know how long yesterday. It was a fantastic day. So, yeah, the website's cruising along great. Radio show's doing well, and everything's good in the neighborhood, my friend.
Very, very good. All right, what's the top thing that you're focusing on the Global Dispatch right now?
Our top headline right now has to do with Iraq. The new UN report came out and revealed in statistics that Iraq has had one of the most violent years in 5 years. The death toll is nearing 9,000 in 2013 and had a horrible December when it came to violence and acts of terror and those kinds of things, especially around Christmas time. There was horrible acts of violence there against Christians trying to celebrate Christmas. So that's kind of new in the headlines. And, of course, John Kerry continuing to pretend that he can handle diplomacy by traveling overseas and trying to work on the Israeli and Palestinian peace negotiations. The administration has a goal of April, and needless to say, the Prime Minister and his Deputy Prime Minister is very pessimistic that that's even remotely possible.
You know, if you wanted to broker a peace deal, I don't know if John Kerry's the right one to send over.
Yeah, maybe if you were looking for some ketchup or something, maybe. That'd be if you were trying to broker a ketchup deal, maybe Kerry would be the guy to bring over, but...
Would you pass the Grey Poupon?
Yes. Yeah, it's really unbelievable that this guy is the guy that we send over for foreign policy. I don't
know if that's the face of America you want sending overseas.
Yeah.
No, that's a face for radio.
That guy's got definitely got a face for radio.
True.
That's for sure. Now, one thing that is on the Global Dispatch right now that I find funny, and I want to ask you this question first, Brandon. What is your take on Glenn Greenwald?
Well, I think we discussed this briefly in the past, but I'm a huge fan of Glenn Greenwald, and I think that he is actually, arguably more impactful than Snowden himself because Greenwald has been able to go on all these different talk shows. He's been able to openly debate and discuss the NSA program and the intrusion into our private lives and violation of our civil rights.
Now, I think you're right, and I think that he is probably one of the better guys to do this because he's kind of a fast talker, but he's also very witty, and he can respond very quickly to stuff.
He's quick-witted.
He's very quick-witted.
But to watch him,
Well, and I think it's a good fit for the younger generation. That's what they're looking for, right? That's why Jon Stewart's and Bill Maher's and whatever is so appealing to the younger audience, because you have to be fast on your feet, you have to have a good wit about you, you have to have a good sense of humor, and Greenwald is all those things.
well, the only thing I will disagree with you on a little bit, maybe, I don't know if the dude necessarily has a sense of humor, though. I haven't really seen, like, he said some stuff that I found to be funny, but he wasn't smiling when he said it.
Well,
though.
I think he has a dry sense of humor.
You think it's just a dry
Yeah.
sense of humor? Is that what it is? Okay, I'll go with that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's his wit.
But to watch him like on MSNBC and just going after the hosts and the people that he's supposed to be debating with, and he just did one with Tapper recently as well, where he had that woman from the Washington Post on, and he just laid her out like, I mean, wow, it was really something special to watch with Glenn Greenwald. But I know that you had the story up that about Glenn Greenwald comparing or defending Edward Snowden to MSNBC defending Obama, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was an awesome.
It kind of put them in their place. It kind of quieted that whole argument quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely it did. Absolutely it did. What else is going on out there?
Well, the New York mayor, while he may be the first Democrat in 20 years, he may be more likely to be the first socialist in at least 2 months. But Bloomberg stood by with his mouth sort of tight-lipped and gave a kind of a polite applause as de Blasio had a speech that just kind of sounds like it came out of a fascist regime. So feel free to read through a few of the quotes there of the new mayor of New York City.
Now, here's the thing, because Bloomberg was a statist, was an authoritarian. Do you think that Blasio is going to be worse than Bloomberg?
Yes.
Everything he's saying is speaking badly of Bloomberg not going far enough, and everything in his language, everything that he has run on has been even more extreme and more radical than even the current situation in New York. And it's almost unfathomable to imagine how could it get worse. But that's the tone that we're getting out of this guy. So we'll see how his actions are.
Yeah, one of his quotes is, "Our march towards a fairer, more just, more progressive place. Our march to keep the promise of New York alive for the next generation. It begins today."
Wow. I mean, you can just see the moving vans heading up there right now. The moving vans are just heading up there. They're like, all right, New York's closed. Let's go ahead and get out of here now. Because that's what they're going to do. What happens is, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think what happens is
You're not wrong.
With these big cities, is that they end up getting these statists as mayors, and it causes all the people to leave, and then the city goes under because of that, because all the people left. Detroit's another example of this. I mean, they've been under Democrat rule for 40 or 50 years, and we see what ended up happening, which, in a weird way, I don't know if I should say it like this, but I don't think we should have cities that big. I think that people should be much more spread out and not so compacted into one place. Right. So go ahead, destroy the big cities. Have everybody move all around. But yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand the thinking here of why they elect people like this.
Well, remember, too, the Hollywood elite and the television elite, which is obviously New York, is they're so wealthy that they'll have a second home somewhere else to claim residence in a place with a lesser of a tax burden. And they live in this elite fantasy land of cocktail parties and all that. So for them, they don't feel like this is ever going to affect them. They're above all of that. John Kerry was a good example from a political standpoint. He would, when he ran for office, he would say one thing, but then when you start to look at his financial records, you realize that he had a completely different way of handling his own personal finances.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we start to look at the New York economy. Actually, the best analogy probably is France. Whenever the socialist regime came into France, they actually had to pass a law to prevent all of the billionaires from leaving the country because they were leaving so fast. They were mansion after mansion just left. They would just abandon the property. They don't care. They have homes in Belgium and Switzerland, whatever. They're all leaving. And I see New York as you'll see more of that. They'll put on the facade on TV. They'll put on the facade for the red carpet. They'll put on all of that, and they'll have all this money to bankroll these type of candidates. But they'll make sure that it doesn't affect them.
Oh yeah. They'll have residency somewhere else, and they'll go to their other home, which is where where their tax structure and everything is, and they'll just go into New York to work. Because if you're in the Hollywood kind of, industry, New York is the place you need to work. But that doesn't mean you have to live there. You have a house there. You'll stay there when you want to, and you claim residency somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to some international stuff that I did want to discuss, wanted to bring up as well. There's been a lot of bombing attacks, a lot of terrorism attacks going on in Russia right now. I know that you have something that was up there, was done on the 30th about the suicide bomber strikes Russia at a trolley bus, killing at least 14 people. And this is like the second day of attacks that have been going on. What is your thoughts behind what's going on in Russia? And it seems like a new round of terrorism attacks in Russia.
Yeah, and they really haven't had this problem for a while. Obviously, the Chechens were historically one of the most recent problems that the Russian leadership has had to deal with there, and now we're seeing a little bit of insurgence of this. And the biggest thing here is it's raising a lot of concerns because the Olympics are scheduled to be there, so people are raising a lot of security questions and that kind of thing. And of course, Putin and many of the other leaders there are trying to reassure everyone that's not a problem. And really, at this point, we have a lot of unorthodox news on these stories. One of them is said to be a female. Females are not usually terrorists, and one of them had different grenades that didn't even go off. So there's a lot of information that the Russians really haven't revealed for us to know, what does this really mean and how dangerous of a situation has it become.
I got you. So it doesn't have anything to do with Snowden, right?
No, we don't have any signs there's any connection that they're trying to track down Ed.
I'm surprised that that our administration has not started to use that as the excuse. You know why they're bombing you is because of Snowden. That's why you should give them back.
Well, that's why I'll go back to Iraq, though. Iraq has gotten so bad. Wait for Lindsey Graham and John McCain to want to go back to Iraq. See, we should never have left. We should go back.
Yeah. They didn't want to leave to begin with.
Yeah. Hold on. And neither did Obama. We got thrown out.
I know.
That was a throwout time. That wasn't anything. It wasn't anything else other than we got thrown out. So, what else is going on out there, Brandon?
In world news as well, we could touch on China briefly. There's an amazing court case happening right now of a doctor there who is being charged with stealing babies. What she would do after she delivered the baby, she'd come out and tell the parents that had a congenital disorder, some type of a disease. They had to sign these papers, presumably to put the child up for adoption or into an orphanage or actually to be euthanized. And what she was doing, she was selling these children on the human trafficking black market. So she's been under arrest. She's standing trial. One of the children actually died. They weren't able to rescue the child fast enough. There were 6 others that were able to save. But it's a fascinating story. It obviously doesn't make any American press.
Yeah, that's amazing that it doesn't make any. It doesn't make any press. So who was she? Who was she selling him? Who was she selling him to?
It was described only in the media. Of course, dealing with the Chinese media is a bit of a challenge anyway. However, it's only described as a, quote, middleman. Now, they were able to make several other arrests besides her, so they've been able to track her, who her contacts were, and make some arrests. But at this point, it's all low-level stuff, and not a lot of names or figures have been really attached to it.
Okay. All right. I understand. What else is going on out there?
Well, Duck Dynasty's back, so just in case you were on pins and needles, because I know Alex, you're a big fan.
Yeah.
You didn't want to miss out on the January 15th return. So no worries, everything is okay.
So they're coming back with the guy Phil.
Well, they had already been filming, so they were 5 or 6 episodes into the 5th season. They lifted the ban on Phil, so there's no real harm, no foul. It didn't even last as long as I said it would. I thought it would last a little bit longer than this. It didn't really make it out of a full week of, quote, being banned. But then again, Cracker Barrel rolled over in 24 hours because they tried to pull the Duck Dynasty stuff. Everybody spoke out and said, no. And they went back and they apologized to their customers. So, I think the Duck Dynasty controversy really shows, I think, a lot of promise of how people will support and rally to support free speech and different things like that.
Well, let me ask you another question, though. Do you think that this was all staged? Do you think that A&E was totally in on it from the beginning, that they manufactured this whole thing from the start in order to make the ratings even higher than they were before?
Well, the only reason I say no is only because I've watched enough of the show to get a good sense of Phil Robinson himself. Had it been one of the other brothers or, one of the younger cast members, I would say maybe it's more likely that it was manufactured. But Phil Robertson has a long track record of rubbing the left on the wrong side. Boy, when it comes to abortion, gay rights, all these different things, he's a very staunch hardcore evangelical, and he's very boisterous. You know, he's a wealthy man. He's self-made and all of this. He really could care absolutely less what they say and do to him. So for him to say these things, I don't get that impression. Again, I could always be wrong, but they don't need the they don't need the ratings. They don't need the money. And this is almost like a hobby for them. And for Phil to say and do what he did, it didn't sound staged. It just sounded like some of the other speeches and comments that he's made in the past.
Oh, okay. Well, let me say it a different way. Do you think that A&E staged it? I'm not talking about Phil staging it. I'm talking about A&E doing it because they knew this guy already. It wasn't like they, you do a simple YouTube search and you find the videos of Phil saying what he's saying. So they knew what he was going to say. I'm saying that they set the interview up with GQ, that they were there when it happened, that they knew about it, so they manufactured this crisis out of that, saying that they weren't. I'm not saying Phil had a nefarious intention. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that the family knew about it. I'm saying that A&E did it.
It's an awful lot of conspiracy theory there. You're giving A&E an awful lot of credit with their connections to the LGBT groups. I mean, I think if you make any comments like what he made, you're going to see that kind of backlash from the gay community and the left wing, because they're very protective of the image of a homosexual and how they want gay marriage to be portrayed. And if you come out and say anything negative to that, they're all over you. And we've seen this before. We've seen different things that have happened in the past where this happens, and it blew over faster than I thought it would, A&E kind of backing off. But they didn't really lose any advertisers. Nothing really happened from a negative standpoint. So I can see why your conspiracy theory might hold a little bit of water.
I got one more question, since we're going down wild conspiracy rows with Duck Dynasty. There's been a lot of pictures, at least that I've seen, of and I haven't seen any pictures of Phil, but I've seen it of the rest of the family, that the way that they look today is not the way that they looked even a couple years back, and that they grew these beards and they did all this stuff, and that I know that Phil's a real guy, so I'm not saying that he's not a real guy, but that these guys were not a bunch of like in the woods living off the land, hillbillies, that the rest of the family was actually a bunch of normal people that grew the beards and all this stuff to put on the show. Have you ever done any research into that, or do you know of anything as relates towards that?
Well, we did post photos of what they looked like without their beards, but most of their photos without the beards that were released were pretty old photos. Now, I will say, Willie, who's the CEO of the company, and the others, they all live very wealthy lives. I mean, this company that they have built is extremely wealthy. He lives in the mansion. The brother lives in a very nice, ritzy suburban neighborhood, and there's a whole episode devoted to his fighting the homeowners association with how he does stuff on his property, those kinds of things. The growing of the beards or not, I don't know, but I definitely can see, and the show does deal with this from what I have seen, a little bit of the whole, the wives in particular are very suburban. The wives live in a very, they're wealthy, so they live, they like how they live their lives, very glamorous lives, those kinds of things, and that is kind of a point of the storyline that they at least touch on from time to time. So, from that framework, I'm not sure I see it as like a facade, like they purposely went out of their way, but to grow the beards or whatever, it could have been part of the initial shtick, the initial setup. I know it's been part of the whole show since the beginning, but it could have been part of the initial agreement, but they all kind of look so different or whatever. But they have a great hunting line. They have a huge line of all these different things to wear and all that kind of stuff that's been in the works for long before, in and around the beginnings of the show. So extremely wealthy company, a big, big business plan.
Yeah, no, and look, they're the American dream, and right. And God bless them for it, man. If that's that they were able to do that with the duck collars and now all the other gear and everything that they could do. I again, more power to them. It's not even to be, kind of hateful on it, but what I don't like is the fakery, and if it was done for fake reasons and they didn't really. It's almost the same thing like...
Well, all reality shows are scripted more than you want to believe, right? I mean, we all know that.
No. I think that reality TV died after, like, the first season of Real World, Yeah. And like I said, the only reality TV you have now is Cops. which you can argue if that's a real show or not, but I think that one seems the real one. But at any rate, what else is going on out there, Brandon?
Well, just to plug the site, how to use the site a little bit. I mean, obviously, there's tons of movie news and all this kind of thing that we touch on all the time. There's a search box at the top there. You can type the stuff that you're looking for, all the different categories. And of course, if you ever have a story you want to write for us, whatever your interests are, you can always contact us at The Global Dispatch, all one word, theglobaldispatch@gmail.com.
One other question I did have for you, Brandon, before we let you go. Movies 2014, in your opinion, what's the biggest movie that's coming out in 2014?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Wow. Okay. Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, Greg just made such a face.
Yeah,
What was
hold on,
the
what
face
was the face,
for?
Greg? What was the face for?
Of all the comic book movies coming out this year, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the biggest, you think?
Well, what's the other ones that are coming out?
Yeah, well, I think it's the timing of it too. You remember, it's coming out on like the July 4th weekend. It has a lot of different villains in it. The kids are going to go bonkers for this movie because of the style of filmmaking from the first movie, a lot of action, that kind of thing. I don't think, Captain America, 300, Sin City, Guardians of the Galaxy, any of that stuff's going to hold a candle to the amount of money that Spider-Man's going to make and the popularity of it. Do I mean it's going to be a great movie? No, I don't know what to expect. I mean, they're superhero movies. I don't have huge plot expectations for any of them.
Yeah, they're I kind of treat them like pizza. Like even bad pizza is good pizza.
Yeah, I understand. And I guess I follow what you're saying. Spider-Man is the biggest name of all the superheroes movies that are coming out this year. So, yeah, as far as box office draw, yeah. I guess that's
And don't get me wrong, Captain America will probably be a good movie, too. And the 300 one will probably be very interesting, but it's.
I think Captain America,
I think
too,
the
is going to
second one is probably the X-Men movie. The X-Men movie probably will do as well, if not better, than Captain America because of the incredible cast it has. It has the cast from the original 3 X-Men movies and the cast from the last one. And I think that will really be a big draw for a lot of folks. And again, when it comes out, the timing of it will probably have it do very well. I think they'll all do reasonably well. I don't think any of them are really, at this point, show any signs of being a bomb. I think that we're going to see that over the next 2 months. The movies that are kind of the high-risk movies usually are in the January and February, then a little bit into March. So that's when they kind of run the risk of having a lot of bombs. And then after the summer, in September and October, those are the ones when they start moving dates around, things like that. Those are the red flags that we see. And, that's what we're going to see. Like the RoboCop remake, they're doing that. And it's kind of in the middle. It's something nobody's talking about, nobody cares about. And it's a risk of really being a bomb. And it has a huge all-star cast with, like, Gary Oldman, Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that movie, man.
They have a great cast, but I've seen that trailer, and there's a reason they're worried it's going to bomb. It looks horrible.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
don't
look
think
good at
Samuel
all.
L. and Gary Oldman can save it.
No, I don't. And what movie is Samuel L. Jackson not in, by the way?
Either him or Morgan Freeman. They're in just about every movie.
They're like the token black guy.
He's like the new Michael Caine. Remember when Michael Caine was in every movie for like a decade?
Yeah.
Well, still, you could turn on the TV and
There's
there's
always
a
a
movie
Mike-
with Michael Caine.
Oh yeah, well,
on
it's in
24 hours a
repeat
day.
now. That's what's you already started to see the beginning of that with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
and you'll see more of that coming in.
I've probably only seen like 20 movies my entire life, and I think Samuel L. Jackson has been in most of them.
Yeah.
Well, his name is Brandon. The website is theglobaldispatch.com. Brandon, thank you so much for calling in, brother.
No problem. Look forward to a good year. And guys, talk hard.
Talk hard. All right, we'll see you later. Man, that was... he's right on Spider-Man, though. I hate to say it, too. And that's what Brandon will tell you, too. He's like, look, man, I'm not telling you which one I like. I'm telling the way you ask him the question relates the way he's going to give you the answer.
Right. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with him. Well, I kind of am, because I think that, we've got the Hobbit movies. And just like the Lord of the Rings movies, nothing really competed with them. And the Hobbit movies, I think, are going to be the same way. They're not as big as Lord of the Rings were, but I think the second movie is really going to establish that, because the first one was so much build-up and kind of backstory, wasn't as exciting. The second one, much more exciting than the final one that comes out this Christmas, is where it all culminates, and you've got the Battle of the Five Armies and everything. So, I mean, that's going to be a big draw. It's probably, in my opinion, I think it's got the potential to be the best movie of the year. So,
we'll see. We'll see. And it's, they said, and I don't remember exactly where I heard this from, but they actually said that that movies made more money last year than in any other year in history. Like, movies did the best last year. And I think there's a couple things that are in play there as to why that is. One of them is the fact that we're still in a depression. And in depression era times,
people want an escape, so they go to the movies
And
as
that's
an
what
escape.
you can afford. Well,
Yeah.
almost.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's almost where you're pricing that out too now, but it's you can still afford to go to the movies. I mean,
Right.
you can't go to as many, but you're still going though.
Yeah.
And then the matinees and stuff like that, you can still go to.
And
those
they run
movies.
specials and things like that. Obviously, if you're taking a large family and getting all the popcorn and all that, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's more affordable than a lot of other things.
Yeah, and I've said this before, but with the advancement of technology, when it comes to cinematography, you are now being able to make movies that were unable to be made before.
Right, which is why we never saw like a Lord of the Rings movie or a Hobbit movie before, because the only way it could be done was in animation, which they did.
Yeah.
And until computer graphics kind of got to the point where they're at, you can't make these movies.
Yeah.
Same with the superhero movies.
Yeah, they just didn't. Well, they didn't look right. I mean, they made superhero movies in the past, like Superman, but it was.
Well, that's the thing. Think back to the old, like the Batman of the '60s with Adam West and Burt Ward. You know the Supermans of the '70s with Christopher. Even the Spider-Man TV show. I mean, they were good for what they were and the time. We loved them and they were great. But when you look back at them now, it was so hokey, and you're like, how did we even watch
I
this?
know.
How did we enjoy this? And when you compare it to what we have now, it's like now you can see the story play out like you're supposed to see it in the comic book.
And yet the characters are still like totally necessary.
Yes.
Like Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man, he made that movie.
Oh, absolutely. And no one else could play that.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I've said this from the beginning before the movies even came out. When I heard that he was cast as it, I was like, this is the man. He's got the same demons as Tony Stark.
Well, see you next week, 1787network.com, guys.
Hi, this is Gary Johnston, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit TackleMyTicket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at TackleMyTicket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground, hour number 3. If you would like to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. The Refresh Telecom lines, 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom. They won't give your information to the NSA.
That's all you need to know.
Do you need another reason?
I think that should be their commercial.
I would like them to actually make that commercial for the show that says that. That says, look, we're just not going to give your information. So.
And that's all we should have to tell you.
And we don't have any. And it works.
That wins.
Just say it works. So say, yeah, it works. And that's it. Nothing else. In other news, let's take a poll. An internal poll here in the show. Who do you, Greg Bowen, think is the biggest threat to the world?
You mean as a nation, as an individual?
Let's go with nation.
The United States.
Oh, okay. Not really helping out with
you asked who the biggest threat to the world is. The United States is the biggest threat to the world.
I was hoping you'd play along a little bit. Okay, Danielle?
Okay, it's really hard for me not to be truthful I also find it to be the U.S.
Let me ask it. Let me ask it another way. Let me ask it another way. If you were to ask your average American who the biggest threat, in the world is country-wise, who would they tell you?
I would expect for them to say some Middle Eastern or Muslim country.
I will expect them to say Iran because that's the talking point they've been fed by the media.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Iran. Definitely that would be up there on the list. I think some people may still say Iraq or something like that, but Iran, I guess I would expect more people.
The biggest threat to world peace was what it was. So they did a Gallup poll. It was an end-of-year survey across 65 countries, so it was an international poll, and they wanted to name. They more than 60,000 people were surveyed the world over. And 24% of them actually responded that they believed that the U.S. was the greatest threat to world peace. Pakistan and China got 8% and 6% of the votes, respectively. Iran, Israel, North Korea, and Afghanistan tied for fourth place with 4% of the votes. So 24%, which doesn't seem like it is an extremely high number.
But when you look at all the countries in the world, that's because you had a lot of choices.
But here's the thing, though. Second place got 8% and 6%. Second place got 8%. Third place got 6%. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 countries got 4%.
5%.
Or 5%.
Yeah.
That poll actually tells me that there are more rational people on this planet than I would have guessed.
Now,
I'm a little confused on why Pakistan came in second. Because
they are very mouthy. They do have nuclear warheads.
That is true.
They do harbor nefarious individuals within their borders and make no qualms about that and will not help us. I mean, they knew Osama bin Laden was living in a house next to what is their West Point, and they knew that, and they did not do anything, and they told us, no, he's not here. So, I mean, they are not good people. They are not good guys. They are on the verge of war with India again, as they have been for centuries.
For centuries.
So, I mean, it's a valid concern. People who actually say Pakistan are also good people that are paying attention to what's really going on.
Because I actually would rate Pakistan pretty high, but I was surprised that was the general sentiment.
Yeah. Now, you got to remember this, too, is that why are these people saying this, though? Like, what is going on that causes this?
Because we're at war with a lot of different countries and we occupy even more.
That was more of a rhetorical question.
If you think that anyone other than the nation that has the largest army in the history of mankind is, if you think anyone else is the greatest threat to world peace, you're an idiot. You're not thinking. You have no functioning brain cells. The largest army in the history of mankind is the largest threat to world peace. It's math, folks. It's not emotion. It's math.
Now, and we actually had a discussion along similar lines last night. And,
yes, we did.
And I wanted to say this too, though, is that it doesn't have anything to do with the people in the military, at least in my opinion. We may get into a disagreement on this part, but it doesn't have as much to do with the people in the military as it does with our elected officials and the policies that they follow. Because, you know, when you have generations of people, or you have families, maybe you could say, that every generation that their family members go into the service, go into the military, and that it's been going on for, you know, as long as those people have been in this country. You know, my family is one of those families that every generation that I know of has been in the military. At least a couple members of the family have been in the military. Like my father was in the military. I was in the military. His father was in the military. He's got a lot of cousins and uncles and you know, he has a lot of brothers that went in the military. Their kids went in the military. So it was a generational thing where every generation sent people, you know, into the military.
I'm the first male in my family that did not serve in the militry. My brother and every male ahead of me, and a lot of the women as well.
Well, I mean,
but the rest of your family did though. So it's still
I'm kind
holding
of the black
true.
sheep because of that.
Well, and I mean, in my family as well, my dad was probably the first person in his family to not go into the military, but everyone before him was drafted. So it's not a fair statement to say like that my whole family and every male in my family has gone into the military, except for my dad's generation. They were, you know, it was kind of sparse here or there, but they were forced to. So it's not like they had a choice.
Well, many people in years past and decades past have fit in that category. But even within my own family, I know there's a lot of people that didn't wait to get drafted, that did go in before they were drafted.
Yeah, and I typically don't get, depending on the time frame, I don't get too worried about the difference between drafting and volunteering, because there are a lot of people, like especially like during World War II, that had they not been drafted, they would have volunteered. There were a lot of people that they liked the idea. They wanted to go and fight in this war. They waited on the draft, knowing they would be drafted. That way, they didn't have to volunteer.
Well, there were people that were leaving the country and going to Canada during things like World War I, so they could get involved.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they would. It's like the opposite of draft dodging. It's like peace dodging.
Well, and you have large.
I'm not saying it in a bad way, but yeah, I know.
You have large families that came over from overseas where it may be a family tradition at this point, but at one point from where they came from, every person serves. So when they came over here, it was just a cultural thing where you served because you came from a country where that was required.
Yeah.
Right. And there were a lot of people who came here during, after World War I and during World War II that fled Europe, came here, immediately joined our military, and went back to Europe fighting as American soldiers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually happened quite a bit.
Yeah. But and again, we need to, a lot of people go, well, who cares what that poll says? You can't blame America. You know, here's the thing. We need to address what is going on with our own foreign policy. Use this as an example that we're not doing it the right way. You know, we need to adjust our foreign policy. It doesn't matter if Bush is there. It doesn't matter if Obama's there, because Obama was supposed to be like the peacemaker guy.
Like this guy was supposed to bring, they
He
gave
won
him the
the
Nobel.
Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, and this guy has drone bombed more people than Bush ever thought of drone bombing.
Well, see, what I have a problem with what you were saying before about how you want to give the people in the military a pass and blame it on the politicians. The politicians put the policy on paper. The military makes the policy real. We cannot give them a pass because they took those orders, they took that policy and said, okay, we're going to make it happen. So I can't just say, it's not their fault, they're just following orders. Yeah, you cannot follow the order. You can say, I'm not going to do this.
Well,
So I cannot give them a pass.
I disagree with you on certain levels. I think when you go higher up, those people have to be held accountable. When you pass a law, but then you're giving it to generals that know it's wrong, and you give it to, when it starts going down, there are certain people who should say this is wrong, we're not doing it. But I think when you get to just a soldier on the ground, these are kids. And these are not adults that understand the world and understand everything. And I can tell you that when I was 18, you're getting these kids 18, 17 years old, just coming out of high school. They don't know enough to know, number one, that they can't follow the order. And number two, they don't even know what following the order, what the consequences are going to be because they're kids. So I can't blame a kid for making a choice because he didn't know any better. Now, definitely when you go higher up the chain, I can blame those people. But I can't blame the average everyday soldier because those are kids.
I hold everyone responsible for their decisions at all times. I can't give anyone a pass. And if you don't do that, libertarianism falls apart because it is up to the individual and your responsibility, your decisions, and what you choose to do. And as soon as you start exempting individuals from their responsibilities and being accountable for their actions, libertarianism falls apart. You cannot have this philosophy stand when you exempt individuals from their responsibilities.
Well, let me say it like this. I do understand your point, by the way, and I think you're making a valid point, but you have to wait then for the negative action. Like they have to actually, here's the thing, just signing up is not the negative action.
Right.
The negative action is doing something where you're killing somebody unjustly. And that those people should be held accountable for that.
Absolutely.
So I agree with you there, but that's not a blanket statement on the military, though. Like you don't immediately.
And I totally agree with what you're saying. Yes, it is more the fault of the generals, colonels, people higher up who are saying, okay, we're going to make this policy real, and they're handing down the orders to these 18-year-old privates. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying that these 18-year-old privates that are either going to follow orders or get left alone in the desert, they have a tough decision to make. And
I think that they're easily manipulated to say that those people deserve, we have to kill those people because they're bad. And they get very easily manipulated into where they don't see it. Me and you are on the outside where we can look at it and say, well, no, those people aren't coming over to kill me, so I don't feel the need to kill them. But when you're being told by generals, by people who you respect, who know better, that these guys are going to kill you, you better kill them first, I think you're easily manipulated into doing something that later on you'll know is wrong.
This is going to sound kind of weird. Is my mic not working or something?
No,
we can all hear you.
Is it working fine?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Okay. This is going to sound a little funny. That, they talk about how people, when they go in the military, are brainwashed. They go that they're brainwashed. That's not a lie.
No, it's absolutely true.
That absolutely is true. However, and this is going to sound weird to say it this way, if you're going to have an effective military, let's say they're doing the right thing and they're not doing the wrong thing. So let's say that we don't have them overseas, but if we needed to go to war, that these people are ready to go to war. That you actually need that in order to be an effective military unit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like you need that part in order to do it the right way. And that's the part that kind of sucks, is that you need that. Like when you go in, like I went to Marine Corps. So I went to Marine Corps boot camp, Parris Island, South Carolina. That place is there for two reasons. One, to break you down, down to your core. And the second one is to build you back up. So they break you down to your core, they build you back up. What they really instill, at least in my opinion, is the ability to focus on a task and also the ability to follow orders. Those are two things that I think, and they build you up stamina-wise, and they build up your, when you're leaving, like if you're, they always say this, like the best Marine is a third phase recruit at Parris Island. Because he will jump over a wall, he'll do anything that you tell him to do, and he won't question anything, and because he won't know no better.
You know, once you get in the military, then once you get out into the fleet, then you start realizing like, okay, this is kind of crap. And then once you get past your 4 years and you re-enlist for another 4 years, if you choose to do that, then you're like, oh, you know the game then. Then it's all a big game then. Then you're playing a game. So after a while, you start learning that, but you don't do that in the beginning. You don't learn that in the beginning. But that's what they do in the military, is that they break you down to build you up. I find that there is and again, other people will think differently of this. I actually was on, we did Ledge's show one time where Kokesh was on.
With Adam, yeah.
And he totally disagrees with me on this one. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Might be one of the reasons I'm not in jail and you are, or you were, but you know, either way, no big deal. Again, I respect all the stuff that you've done in the past. It's a beautiful thing, whatever.
I like Adam. So.
I like him. I personally, I like him at all. I disagree with him on the military thing.
Yes, I do disagree with him there.
I disagree with him on the military thing, but I respect his opinion on it too. Because he went through the military at a much different time than even I was in the military. Because I was in from 93 to 01.
Right.
And he was in after that. So I didn't go to Iraq. I didn't go to Afghanistan. I didn't go to any of those places. So when I was in, it was, Clinton and like a little bit of Bush. But I was already out, and I was out at working on a recruiting station when 9/11 happened.
Right.
I was doing supply for I was buying desks. I wasn't buying guns. I was buying desks at that point. And I got out because I couldn't. I personally didn't want to deal with it anymore. Like I played the game, and I realized that I was not. I was always going to have some guy that just got out of college for 4 years to come in there to tell me how to do my job that I've been doing for 6 years. Like a dude that had no experience in my job would come in there and tell me to change up all the stuff because that's not the way he liked it to be. That was the one thing that caused me to leave the military was that I did not want to. I was not going to do that anymore.
See, for me, it was a little different. See, my father was a drill sergeant during the Vietnam War. It was his job to break these people down and build them back up. And he explained to me in detail exactly what he did and how it works.
Yeah.
And it was after he started explaining that to me. I mean, as a young child, I was fascinated by brainwashing, mind control, all of these things, and the very simple tactics that you can use to manipulate and control people. And the exact tactics they use in the military, they also use in public schools. They use across the board to brainwash and control people. We talked last week briefly about the Pledge of Allegiance, and you and I both say we don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. You have a religious aversion to it. I have an aversion to it because it is brainwashing. It was implemented with a specific intent, and to this day is still used with a specific intent, implemented in a specific way for a desired result. It is put in first thing in the morning, repeated daily, over and over and over again. Your attention is called to it. You are pretty much forced, and you are shunned and berated by others for not falling into this line. And it is very much a brainwashing tactic. It is designed to create a nationalist society, which is what we were fighting against when it was written. I mean, there is a point to this, and that is why I'm against it. Same with the military. The whole point of, like you said, boot camp basic training, it's about breaking you down, turning you into a piece of clay that they can then remold into exactly what they want. That's why I didn't go into the military. I did not want to be broken down, have my individuality stripped of me, turned into an automaton that follows orders that I don't agree with, and then say, hey, it's not my fault. That's why I have the opinions that I do. That's why I do hold individuals accountable, because you made the decision to go in there and be stripped of your individuality and have yourself broken down and become a tool of war. Because as a soldier, that's all you are. As far as the military is concerned, you are an asset of the U.S. government. You are no different than a gun, a rocket, a tank, a jeep, or anything else. And you can be put out to be cannon fodder. You can be discarded. You are used as a piece of material, not as a human being, and you lose your status as a human when you join the military, and that's why I won't do it.
It's not that I don't even understand what you're saying right there. I do, but I get it, and I'm one of these people that does have a little nationalism in me. I love America. I know we always make fun of it. Oh, I love America. I do love America.
Well, I think you can love your country and not.
Well, hold on. You gotta let me get to the point on this one though. I gotta draw the layout. I gotta lay it out for you. It's sad it really is sad. And one of the reasons that I think that I am involved politically as much as I am and as passionate as I am, one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons for it, but one of them also is I want the people that are going into the military to be used correctly, to be used in defense of this country, and not to be used. And again, saying somebody's used as cannon fodder, I understand what you mean by that, and I look at it like you could be used as cannon fodder for good reasons too, though. Like you could be, like if you're defending the country and you got to try to take that hill, and you're going to lose a lot of people on the way up to take that hill, but you're defending the country, then you would be used as cannon fodder at that point to take that hill.
Right.
So it's not to say that that's a bad thing if you're looking at it for the defense of the country. However, we haven't had that in like a long time. And you could argue World War II. I'll say the one I will give you is World War II. After that, there's nothing that was done since World War II that was in defense of the country.
I totally agree with you on all that. Here's the problem. Recruiters don't let you know that you are cannon fodder. No. They lure you in saying, we're going to trade you so you can get a job afterward. They don't make it clear and make sure that you understand that you are no longer a human being with rights. You are an asset of the U.S. government. You are property of the U.S. military.
Yeah.
And if we want to send you out as cannon fodder, if we want to keep you in the rear with the gear, that is our decision. You get no say in it. And if we want you to die, we will send you out to die. And they don't really get that perspective. They get sold this bill of goods. Hey, I'm going to come out. I'm going to be well trained. I'm going to be able to get a good job because I'm a former soldier.
I'm going to be an engineer.
Okay. Well, no. There's a point there, but you got to remember this too: is that you do get to pick your job though. Like you can pick the MOS in the field that you go into. No. That's true.
Okay,
now,
no.
Now hold on. I will say that you can be changed at any time.
Okay.
And they can move you around wherever they want to.
And you don't actually get to pick from the choices they give you, not that you get to pick your job, because I had, and everybody takes it, because I signed up to go to the Marines. I have a back disease. I ended up not being able to go to boot camp, but I did sign up. I was ready to go. But when they did my ASVAB, I was only offered, you can have one of these 4 jobs.
Did you have high? You must have had high ASVAB scores, right?
Oh, I had very high ASVAB scores.
See, when I went in there, I was told that you can do whatever you want to do. Now, they would try to push you in a certain direction. Like, they tried to push me. I actually went to the Navy recruiter first, and they tried to push me into nuclear. So I started looking into nuclear. But actually, this is a funny story. I actually went looking into the nuclear program. And they would, the recruiter's like, well, they'll give you, big, huge bonuses if you re-enlist and yada, yada, and all this other stuff, and really trying to sell it hard, right? So I went and did some research and found out that the rate of people that graduate from nuke school was really low. I mean, really low. Like I think it was 10%, if I'm not mistaken. It was like 10 to 20%. And I'm like, well, what happens if you don't make it? And then they go, well, you go to whatever MOS they tell you that you go to whatever job they tell you to go to at that point. If you wash out of nuke school, then you go to do whatever they want. You're chipping paint off of you're a paint chipper in the Navy,
right?
They don't call you cannon fodder. You're just a paint chipper in the Navy. You're on the side of the ship, just chipping paint.
You're washing the decks.
Yeah, you're washing the decks, swabbing the decks. So I was like, I'm not really going to do that. And then I decided to go in the Marine Corps. Now. And this is a very superficial reason.
The really cannon fodder division.
Yeah. The reason that I went into the Marine Corps, that I ultimately made the decision to go into the Marine Corps, is that I looked at the dress uniforms for the Navy, for the Army, for the Air Force, and the Marines, and by far the Marines had the best looking one.
No question.
It wasn't even close, right? And then I started talking to other people about the Marine Corps, and they were like, well, that's hardcore right there.
Right.
That's the hardest unit. That's the hardest group. It's the hardest one to do. So I was looking at it more of the I didn't go into the Navy job because of the retention rate or because of the pass rate. So I decided to go into the Marine Corps, which is the hardest one to do.
Right.
But it didn't require the most smarts, though.
It's the hardest one overall. It's not the hardest intellectually, because really the Marine Corps is the cannon fodder division of the military.
Well, but even those guys are a lot smarter now, though. You'd be surprised.
Oh, they're a lot smarter, and they're damn good. That's why they get the training.
As a female going into the Marines, you're very limited on the jobs you can do.
No, that's true.
And a lot of the things that I scored very, very high on were not open to women. So a lot of the strategic positions and things like that, I was not able to do. Now I was able to do. There was a lot of intelligence jobs and things like that. Basically, I would have had, I would go overseas. And I would be overseas a lot, and that's all I would do. And all 4 jobs were that way. I was never going to be in the U.S.
Just one thing here, real quick. From the messages, go ahead and read Adrian's message, if you don't mind.
Adrian Wiley, wileyforgovernor.com, said to Alex, "I can't believe they offered you nuclear MOS. You can barely pronounce the word."
Hey, you know what? Why don't you do this real quick? Here. Oh, my phone's not with me, right? Okay, hopefully he's
At least he
listening.
doesnly say nuclear.
Nuclear.
No, he does normally.
Yeah.
Oh, does he?
Call into the program, Wiley. Call into the program, Wiley. You little army guy. You.
Now, most of the things that would have been open to me were intelligence and things like that. So, but they very much push women to a desk job.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, especially in the Marine Corps, you got to remember the way that the Marine Corps is set up is that most units are considered combat units.
Yeah.
So, and women were not allowed, at least at that when you were doing it.
Well, yeah.
Were allowed into combat units.
Yeah. So I was,
So you were limited. You
I
were
was
limited
very,
because of
very
your
limited.
gender.
And even though if you were to look at my test scores, I actually scored higher than basically anyone in the state for many of the jobs, but they weren't open to women.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I was in the top percentiles on ASVAB. I'm like, I really did a good job on my ASVAB.
I did so well on my ASVAB that I had recruiters calling me until I was 30 every month.
Yeah. Oh, I had
every month
yeah.
from every branch of the military. I had recruiters calling me trying to get me to join.
Well, you want to talk about a stressful MOS, boy? Recruiter.
Oh yeah, isn't that like the second highest suicide rate behind dentists or something?
It's pretty high.
It's pretty high.
I know it's really high.
And I had when I took, and everybody in my high school took the ASVAB. Everybody, like it was almost like going in.
It was a
like,
required
Yeah,
test.
it was required. You were required to take it. So you take it, and I didn't even know my scores before people started calling my house.
Oh yeah, because the recruiters get them before you do.
Yeah.
with me.
So they were calling and calling and calling, and finally I said, "All right, well, listen, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to, go big or go home. I'm doing the Marines." So I went into the Marines. I love my recruiter; he was great, and I was ready to go. But when he showed me the jobs, and honestly, there was not anything better in any of the other branches. So it's not like as a woman at that time, they were like, I would love to put you in all of these things because your scores are amazing. Like there were certain areas where I scored a perfect score in several areas of the ASVAB, but they weren't open to women. And then as soon as I found my back disease, then that was it. They wouldn't let me go anywhere.
You know how I found out my ASVAB scores?
What?
An Air Force recruiter came into my classroom and took me out of class. And that's when he told me my scores and was trying to recruit me for the Air Force.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, when I was in high school, I was actually like an ROTC.
Yeah.
And so I already, it was already predetermined for me, not because I was even told this, by the way. Again, this is not something, like my father, God bless his soul, my father did not say to me to join the military. He didn't say it. Matter of fact, he was neutral, but negative neutral. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like he was pretty much neutral, but more on the negative side of being neutral.
It was probably a lot like my dad, because I like I was saying earlier, what my dad did and what he told me. I don't think my dad was trying to push me away or towards the military. He just wanted me to know. He wanted to make sure that I had a clear picture of what I was getting into if I did it.
Yeah.
We at this point, and like I said, I'm someone who really did want to go into the Marines. I really did. I couldn't encourage any of my children to go into the military at this point.
I agree. I wouldn't.
And
I would discourage it.
I would discourage it. Obviously, at the end of the day, it is their decision, no matter what. But I would discourage them from joining the military because I don't believe that anything our military is doing right now is serving our country.
Okay, hold on. Let me transfer you.
Yeah, I can understand your viewpoint on it. I really can understand your viewpoint on it. I hope that we have a foreign policy that is one that is going in the right direction when my son has to make that decision.
Yeah.
So I got 12 years to fix this thing.
I have a lot less time.
Yeah, I got 12 years before I got to fix this thing. So hopefully we can get it fixed by that time, because it really is. it sucks that it goes down that way, but it really does.
Well, I can almost guarantee that by the time at least one of my children will be making that decision, things will not be fixed because that'll be in 3 years.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. On the line. Oh, go ahead.
We have the most well-qualified candidate for governor of the state of Florida in this race, Adrian Wiley, WileyForGovernor.com.
Good morning, sir.
What's going on, guys?
First, doing great, doing really good. One thing I did want to ask you first. I wanted your reaction to Charlie Crist's new "I'm sorry" for signing a law that banned gay marriage.
He's on the "I'm sorry" tour.
Yeah, he's on the "I'm sorry" tour. What is your? Have you visited any of the "I'm sorry" tour stops? And do you accept his apology?
I have not, but I am looking forward to following the Charlie Crist apology tour. And I think Rick Scott will probably be launching his own version of the apology tour for raising the budget $8 billion and, restricting gun rights and passing Common Core, signing it into law. So, I think we've got two candidates in this race that have a lot to apologize for.
So what you're basically saying, Adrian, is that you fully support Rick Scott and Charlie Crist going out and apologizing to the voters of Florida for their decisions in the past.
I completely support it, and I think the most sincere form of apology would be for both of them to withdraw from the race.
That's what you. So you're basically saying is that what they should do is you're calling for them to announce a tour around the state of Florida where they're saying they're sorry
and proving it,
and proving it at the end with going to the steps of the old Capitol in Tallahassee and announcing that they will not be running for the governor of Florida and that they are publicly endorsing the candidacy of Adrian Wiley for governor.
Yes, and as they travel around the state, they should stop at each house they pass and beg for forgiveness along the way.
Hold on. Oh, God, I wish I could do a Braveheart voice right now. It so sucks I can't do it. I suck. And kisses on arse.
I'm going to pick a fight.
What are you doing, Wiley? I'm going to pick a fight.
Picking a fight.
And it's cool. His name's Wiley, though. Wiley. What are you doing, Wiley? I'm picking a fight. How's the campaign trail been out there going there, Mr. Wiley?
Oh, it's been outstanding. Actually, we took a little sabbatical for the last week of the year, but we're ready to hit it full force now in 2014. We got some events going on this week. We've got a campaign team conference call tonight at 8 p.m. If you're interested in getting involved with that, check the WileyForGovernor.com events calendar. All the information is there.
That's true. It is. That is very true.
And
you don't have to apologize for that.
Here. I want you to know that I got a call from our shipping location to let us know I had to come and pick up 50 boxes of literature. Thanks for the heads up on that.
Oh, that's the LPF stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the LPF stuff. Oh, the LPF stuff's in. Hold on, is it there now? Then
we'll have to go to Palm
Harbor. No, it's in the back of my wife's van. Something that she's not all that thrilled about.
Oh.
But we'll have to come get that.
We'll have to come and get that today.
And it fills the van, so we've got plenty of literature to be handing out around the state.
We'll have to bring down the truck. We'll have to bring down a truck for that one. That sounds like a truck trip.
So I never actually. I called in, Alex, because I never actually heard that story before about you being recruited into the nuclear field in the Navy.
Yeah, I actually was.
Mariner, huh?
They asked me about doing it, and like I said, they were trying to offer me the position, and then I realized, what it entailed, and I'll tell you this: the other thing is that the sub thing was a problem. I did not want to go into a sub. That was one of those. It's a like in the jobs that you can do in the military. Being on a sub it really messes a lot of people up, like mentally. Like it mentally messes them up because you're underwater for a long period of time. It really cramped quarters. You're sharing a bed. Like the way that the bunks worked there, though, was like you didn't have your own bunk. You shared a bunk with somebody else, and you just like you went in there and slept, and you got out, and the other person went in there and slept, and that's you didn't sleep together. I mean, at least not. Well, I mean, it's a new Navy now, so maybe you do. I don't know, but they frowned upon that when I was in though.
Well, since we're telling our ASVAB stories, I've got a similar one. When I took the ASVAB
scored very high on it, and they offered me Army intelligence. And being 18 at the time, I said, what, is that some desk job, computers and satellites and stuff like that? No, I don't want anything to do with that. I want to get dirty and blow stuff up. So I ended up in the infantry.
Yeah, it goes to show you, are you going to do the apology tour around the state of Florida for making a bad move when you were in the military?
No. In retrospect, I think it was the best move I could have made because, who knows? I could be, deputy director of the CIA today and be hating myself for spying on Americans. So I think it was a better move to just go infantry.
All right, we'll go with that. That's a good time. Yeah. Let's see, what else? What else can we talk? What else can we ask Adrian Wiley now that we have him on the phone, actually? It's a very important day when you can get the Wiley on the phone.
Oh, give me a break. One Facebook message and I'm here.
I know, right?
As you say it, like, wow, it's important to get, we've got Wiley on the phone. We talk to Adrian 2 and 3 times a day on the phone.
That's a good point.
I saw the message. I saw how it goes down. Okay, call in. I can't. I'm working. Okay, I'm calling.
Yeah, here's the thing. You guys pretty much have a open interview with me anytime you want.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm hoping that when you do win the governorship that becomes exclusive, but I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath on that just yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I can grant you total exclusivity, but you'll get the scoop always.
Okay, all right.
We should always
and
be
I want
first.
you to know, I was doing a live remote on CNN, and I cut it short to call in.
Sure you did. Sure you did.
Yeah.
Your nose is hitting us from here with as big of a lie as that is. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there that's a pretty big one. That's a pretty good whopper. You should do an apology tour for that statement right there.
Okay, yeah, I apologize for that statement, and I will be traveling with Rick Scott and Charlie Chris to apologize for my exaggeration.
I think that those two should actually do it together. I think that they should do the apology tour together.
Maybe Chris could hug
But they
him.
pretty much got the same thing to apologize for.
Well, yeah, because they've done the same policies.
Right.
They've legislated the exact same way.
Oh my gosh!
I can't afford tickets to the show, but can somebody get me a T-shirt?
I don't even know how, with a straight face, that like Democrats can support Charlie Crist and say positive things about him, like knowing that they considered that guy the devil like 3 years
Well,
ago.
the thing is everybody who says, well, we can't let that guy win, no matter which side they're on. It's like, wait a minute, they both did the same thing.
Which one is that guy? Which
I
are you
think-
talking about?
I think the Republicans that say, well, whatever we do, we can't get Charlie Crist elected. We can't have Charlie Crist. Hey, that one drives me crazy the most because in 2006 they were campaigning for the guy.
Yeah, that one actually is pretty funny too. Like that one is one of those like, how can you with a straight face be like, well, I can understand. Let me say it like this: the fact that you're so adamantly opposed to Charlie Crist is the surprising thing to me.
You probably still have a Crist for Governor sign in your garage from the last campaign.
I had someone say, well, you can't let the Democrat win. And they only said the Democrat. And I happen to think that they had no idea who the Democrat actually was because I actually wrote back to them and said, well, you have the current Republican governor running against the former Republican governor that both did the same things in office. Tell me which one the Democrat is. And they went, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't understand. Tell me more about Wiley.
Well, it is amazing that is so many people's first reaction. But that reaction is changing, I think. People are really getting away from the two-party mindset. And though there's still plenty of people that will say, oh, well, we got to get a Republican in or we got to get a Democrat in, it's fewer and fewer all the time. People are starting to realize that there's just no difference between the two main parties. They may say different things on the campaign trail, but they do exactly the same thing once in office.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Adrian is not just whistling Dixie there. He's telling it like it is, man.
Which is why he's running for governor.
Which is WileyForGovernor.com.
That's why he's the best qualified candidate on the ballot.
That's true. That's actually a good point, by the way. Adrian, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience of the Liberty Underground show this morning, sir?
Well, I would just like to let everyone know what a huge fan I am of the Liberty Underground show, and wanted to tell you guys to keep up the fantastic work that you're doing.
Well, baseless compliments will get you everywhere, sir.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
We got it on tape. We can run that apology whenever we
We're
need
gonna
to.
clip that out and just have Adrian. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna have an "I'm sorry" button on the computer.
What have I done?
Whatever you
All right,
done.
you guys. Talk hard.
We'll see you later. Talk
All
hard.
right, WileyForGovernor.com.
WileyForGovernor.com.
That's funny.
You know what? Before we get into the next news thing, let's take care of a couple things right here, if you don't mind.
I do, but that's okay.
You do?
Only kidding.
The next one is this weekend. If you live in the Pinellas or the Pasco County areas, or Hillsborough, or you're willing to drive, Lucas Overby, if you go to his Facebook page for Lucas Overby, there's a lot of events that are going on. He needs a lot of help this weekend. So make sure that you go and help him. I should have actually said that in the second hour, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Now, also, if you go to 1787network.com, there's a couple action alerts if you live in the state of Florida that you can do. And one of them has to do with Real ID. And the
Red
other
light
one has to
cameras.
do with red light cameras. So go on there, and it's if you go down a little bit to where it's for Take Action, you have red light camera bill to be heard, and Floridians are more important than felons event. And also Help the Liberty First Network is there as well. But you have those events that are going on right there. So make sure that you go there. With the two events, those two events are pretty easy. Really, there's committee weeks that are coming up, and the red light camera bill is going to be heard, and some things on Real ID are going to be heard. You can read through it all. But go to the website, 1787network.com, and email all of your representatives or all the people that are going to be in those committees. Let them know where you stand on the issue. This is the time in which you take action to have something happen when it comes to red light cameras and when it comes to Real ID. Again, it's timed things, which is what John and Paul over at Liberty First Network talk about, is that it's the timed things that you do to your elected officials that make the most difference. Just doing it willy-nilly doesn't make a lick of difference. Doing it to the specific people when they're about to make a vote is the time frame in which you're supposed to do that. 1787network.com, you go there. If you don't click on Take Action at the top, scroll down a little bit to where it has it says right now it says featured / Take Action, and it's got the Real ID is the top thing that's on there.
Yeah, so definitely. And check out the newly revamped 1787 Network website, because we did a lot of work over the kind of holiday break. and it looks really good. So we'll be changing it up here and there as we find more toys and widgets that we can put on it. But I think it's a vast improvement over what we had.
I think the best place to go on there right now is actually on the authors and contributors pages, because it really does lay out a really good description of Greg Bowen.
He's a great person.
He's a great person.
Somebody's lying. You can put anything on the internet.
It's true. It's on the internet.
It's true. It's on the internet. So
I actually think the best section of the new revamped website is the podcast area. I think
Yeah,
it's very
I
well
do.
organized
It's
and
really
very
good.
easy to get around and find everything. I think it's awesome.
And that's why I went with overall. And look, it wasn't the main reason I went with SoundCloud to go for the podcast stuff now. But I got to tell you, out of all the other places that I've worked, all the other things that I've worked with when it came to podcasting, SoundCloud is like the best for me.
yeah, no, the podcast page actually looks really, really nice, and Alex did that all himself, and it came out really great. So we definitely worked really hard on the website for a few days. It was a labor of love, to say the least.
Labor of love, labor of anger, labor of rage.
Crying and.
Yeah, it is not.
It's never pleasant when we get into a big project, because both of us have very different ideas of what it should look like. So that doesn't always go well with very opinionated, passionate people.
Yeah.
I can imagine Alex sitting there trying to work on the website and epitomizing raging against the machine.
Yeah.
I have a weird mix of passive aggressive with spurts of maniacal. If that's the best way to do it. It's bouts of passive aggressive mixed in with a couple just moments of just
And And then I get to the point where I don't even know. Like, I'm like, I'll do whatever you want. I'll put whatever you want up there. I just don't know what you're even talking about anymore. and then he goes, well, this is what I'm talking about. I'm like, well, I don't like that. It's not going on.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it gets up there. I got to tell you, it's one of those things that's.
And anybody who wonders why I'm relatively quiet on this show, would you want to get in between these two?
Yeah, I got to tell
I'm
you.
not stepping into that mess.
The whole house was quiet.
But I will say this though, the website right now looks phenomenal.
Yes.
Danielle picked out a good theme. So I do think that it was a good theme overall. There were some things I wish it did, but out of all the ones that were out there, this had the most of the stuff. Like the one thing for the social followers, like I do.
You wanted something different. There.
I wish it had more options. Like I wanted the YouTube option. I wanted all the other options. Not to get too much into the baseball list, but
we definitely it took us a almost a full night to pick out a theme. And when I mean a full night, like we started at dinner time and it was like 3 a.m. when I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to bed.
I can see that going down. I can totally envision that.
Yeah.
The 8.5 hour debate.
It was sending them back and forth, like send this one now, send this one now, send this one now. Well, hold on, let's go back to this one maybe now. Hold on, it was one of those. It was not easy to do.
It wasn't pleasant.
It's a process, man. It was like going with even when we did Libertarian 2014 ended up being a lot easier.
Yes, it did.
That's a phenomenal website, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to go to that website, libertarian2014.com.
Yeah, and so it was just very. It was a long few days.
Yeah. But the website looks good though.
No, and we're both happy with it, and we showed Greg after we
Greg's
stopped killing
Greg's
each
happy
other.
with it. Greg's
and Greg
happy.
was
I
happy
love
with
it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I love the new layout. And again, the podcast, I can't say enough about how great that
came out
podcast
really
section is
good.
and how organized and easy to find everything is.
Well, yeah, because
awesome.
you can go get what you want there too. So if you just want the interviews,
Yeah.
you can just do interviews.
Exactly.
But they're not the interviews on the show; they're separate interviews.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I don't know if we're ever going to move those interviews that we do on the show over there. Maybe we
know.
will.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we will.
Well, we don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be changes. We're revamping kind of a lot of things. We may want to change the intro to the show since Adrian's not on the show anymore.
Yeah, I think that should probably be one of the next projects. Let our intro introduce the people who are actually on the show.
I second that one. I'll second that. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed?
Maybe Adrian.
Yeah, Adrian's probably opposed, but he doesn't get a vote.
Motion carries.
Of course, we do the vote after he's not on the phone anymore.
Yeah.
And you're getting into campaign season, so everybody's really busy. And there's so many different candidates to get involved with. You have, statewide, you have Adrian and Bill Walsifer that are great candidates to get involved in. If you're in Pinellas, you have Tony Casso, Randy Taylor, Lucas, who's going to be up in March. So we're starting to get into the very, very busy season of just everything we do. So having the websites done in a place where it's really well organized, and that was something that needed to be done. We probably could have done it in a calmer, more rational way, but that's just not how we operate.
You two? No. You probably did it as calmly and rationally as possible.
Well, it's probably more my fault than anything else. So. I'm not even going to try to deny the fact that it's probably more my fault than anything else. Because I get passive aggressive about it. Like I'll just sit there and be quiet and be like, no, everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with the website.
Right.
Yeah.
And I get to the funniest thing is that, and Adrian did it, he voted online.
He did. He just voted nay.
Did he vote nay?
Yeah, he did.
Of course he did.
Yeah. So, it is one of those things where, I'm like, I know you're not happy with it because you're not saying anything. And I know how you are when you like something. And then he's like, well, I'm not yelling. I'm like, you're right. This is worse.
Yeah.
So, and then it becomes a screaming match, and then I cry because I can't be angry. Like when I'm angry, I cry. So it's not even that I'm like sad. It's because I'm so mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good times.
Good times.
Yeah. So our house
Noodle
was
salad.
everybody left for a while. They were, like Kelly's like, I think I'm going to take Mikey to the park for the next 3 hours.
Yeah. Ended up being a good move on her part.
The best thing she could have done.
Yeah. You're right. It could have been.
Then we could really scream it out.
Oh, man.
But you're going to be with Lucas this weekend.
Yep, I'll be doing
Walking
walking doors with Lucas on Saturday.
I'm actually going to be on Resistance Radio as their guest this morning, because of their tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. So I'll be on Resistance Radio, which is down in South Florida. That's Jared Graffoni, and they're another libertarian radio show. And I'll be their guest because of the article I wrote and breaking down the numbers of why you should never try to work liberty through the GOP.
Yeah, should be a good time.
And Greg, any big plans for the weekend?
I'm going to try and make it out there to the Lucas event tomorrow. I'm doing my best to be out there and hit some doors with you guys.
Good, because we need you.
Yeah.
We need everybody.
I wasn't able to make it last week, but it's been.
That's
crazy.
okay. I wasn't able to make it last week either.
Alex was grounded.
I was grounded.
Yeah. So hopefully we can make up for it this weekend and hit a lot of doors and get a lot of voters, aware of Lucas and get them out there for the special.
I think it's gonna be a lot easier walking on the doors. Walking on the doors. That will never be easy.
Well, well, one of them's already in the grave, so you can walk on that one.
But knocking on the doors when you know who all the challengers are going to be.
Right.
So right now I know that I found it a little difficult to talk to people, although they were very, very receptive to libertarians and Lucas and everything. Not knowing who was going up against him was a little hindrance on the conversation.
Right.
But I think once we get, and that's just coming up in a little under 2 weeks now, January 14th will be the Republican primary, and then we'll know who his actual competition is. And for me, no matter which one it is, he's far beyond way better.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. All we're waiting for on the primary is so we know which ammo to use.
Yeah.
Because we got plenty of ammo on all of these contenders.
So that'll be good, and I think it'll be great knocking on doors. I love knocking on doors. I can't go this weekend, but I'll be out there next weekend.
Yeah, it's like therapy.
It depends on the neighborhood. Some neighborhoods I'm more comfortable than others. Because some neighborhoods I'm like, I think they're going to see me knocking on the door, and they're just going to call the cops.
There's Pasco deputies, and this is breaking news from Adrian Wiley, who is showing it from something else. But in Pasco, deputies are searching for a possible lion on the loose.
What?
So
a lion? Oh, click on the story, man. We got to read a lion on the loose in Pasco.
Maybe it was.
Who's got a lion in Pasco County?
Nobody now. Apparently, we all do at this point.
You think this line is going to make it as long as the monkey did down in Pinellas County?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's a lion that is believed to be loose at the Survival Outreach Sanctuary. The sanctuary is located at 22005 Bowman Road in Spring Hill,
which
Pasco County.
is actually East Pasco. That's like near Zephyr Hills and that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to walk outside loaded.
Well, no,
I don't mean with a bunch of drinks in.
No, what they're saying is at 11:40 a.m., Pasco County Sheriff spokesperson Melanie Snow said the search crews have located the lion on the sanctuary, but have not captured it. So it's still on sanctuary property right now.
Okay, so we're all safe.
So it's a completely misleading headline that is designed to create panic in the people.
Right.
It worked.
It totally worked. Because they said that a lion is on the loose. It actually has not left the sanctuary property. So
I actually thought maybe it was that couple who got into the banana fight over the weekend.
Oh yeah, we didn't get that story.
There was a couple, and the deputies were called out. And this is in Pasco. The woman claimed that the boyfriend threw a banana at her. Then the boyfriend claimed that the girlfriend threw the banana at him. The deputies, instead of saying you all are nuts, get over it, and leaving, decided
it's a banana.
It's a banana. Investigated and found the banana in the trash with the peel slightly broken, and parts of the peel were resting near the chair near the woman. So they arrested the man for throwing the banana at her. It was an assault with a banana.
I love Pasco.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Hey, but all you can eat pancakes are back at IHOP, though.
Hey.
Wow.
There's something to live for, right?
There it is, right there. You just made my weekend.
That's just something to live for right there. All you can eat pancakes. They're back. All right, man. The website, 1787network.com. Oh, we got like 4 minutes left, but that's okay. No.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Let's one more thing. The Trey Radel thing.
Yes. Please, let's get into this.
Let's get into the Trey
real
Radel.
quick.
Our favorite Florida State House Rep, Trey Radel, is now going to have a primary challenger in the upcoming election. And that primary challenger, in the few days that they have been a candidate, has raised $1 million.
Who's the candidate, though?
I don't know. I've never actually heard of them.
Is he selling coke to get that kind of money? Is Trey Radel buying it?
Oh, okay. So it's Paige Kriegel is the person's name.
Yeah.
Alex should never be the first person to read someone's name on air.
Unless we're making fun of him. That's okay.
My computer is on like a complete white screen. I can't get to anything right now, so I'm literally going off of memory.
All names must first be spoken by one of us, not Alex.
All right, so here's how you spell the name. Paige.
Paige.
Kreegel.
Paige Kriegel. How is that difficult?
Kriegel. That's what I said, Kriegel.
No, you say Kriegel.
What's wrong with saying it Kriegel?
You
phrased
her name.
Tiger?
You phrased her name in the form of a question. This ain't Jeopardy.
They're running against Ray Netherwood.
Yeah, Ray Netherwood is the Libertarian candidate down there, a good candidate. I would vote for him over Trey Radel or the Kriegel challenger. Now, like I said, it was funny to see a primary challenger raise $1 million in about 4 days. That's how much they want.
Well, that
Trey
money
Radel
was
out.
getting raised not because of that person that was running for office. It was just getting raised.
Well, it was getting raised to get Trey Radel out.
Yeah, it's definitely getting raised to get Trey Radel out. Which, hey, look, man, what a bad move that was with Trey Radel. By the way, I mean, I remember that whole election going down. I mean, we like Byron in that race, and
that's how bad Republicans are. Republicans get caught doing drugs, their numbers go down. Then you look at the Toronto mayor; he gets caught doing drugs, his numbers go up.
Now, the Toronto mayor is the only one that has actually put in his paperwork to run for that seat. And people are like, what are you doing? Like, you were smoking crack. And he's like, hey, I did a good job as mayor. And he is rerunning for his seat.
yeah,
That's awesome.
It's like Marion Barry.
I'd vote for him
If you were in Toronto.
if I was in Toronto.
I wouldn't vote for him though.
I would,
No, I wouldn't. He can't handle his addiction.
but he can handle the city. He did a fine job of
I want people
that.
that can handle their addiction. I want people that can handle it. You know, if you're going to go on crack, then be on crack. You know, don't mess around with it and be like, "Yay, no, I don't know." No,
I
Be on the
like
crack.
I like people who can handle their jobs and whatever their vices are beyond
Yeah,
that.
I
As
could
long as
care
they can
less what
handle
they
their
do.
job, I don't care. I don't care if you're an alcoholic. If you can do your job, that's fine. Coke, crack, weed, alcohol, I don't care. Can you keep it out of what I need you for? Can you pull off your job? Okay, that's fine.
All right. All right. Well, on that note. All right. The website again, 1787network.com. This is the first show of the year. We will have more shows on.
Hopefully they'll be better.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully they'll be better than this week's show. I thought it was okay, but we still got got
Room to improve.
Of course, there's always room to improve. But we'll see you guys next week.
With the rifle in his hand, don't